All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, Megan ZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting podcast episode. That being my ZardCast episode 75. Oh shoot, Steven. We're 75 episodes up in this mess though. I felt like
Yep,
50 was only like a blue moon ago though, but 75, oh my gosh. Dang though, but how you been doing?
doing good.
Whew. All righty. Well, I think at least from the past couple of weeks, from what I've been able to gather up, there's been a decent amount of stuff that's happened. And we know we talked about Toriyama and gave our little tribute to him a couple of weeks ago, though. But there was even a couple of more projects that I had no idea that he probably was involved with. And we'll talk about that in the pop culture segment, though. And then in terms of gaming news stuff, got to talk about these PS5 Pro Leaks, and then the new Marvel 1943 game, which I knew of. Now we got a little more details, and Marvel's going to be kind of a dry subject this year, so we got to talk about Marvel where we can. And then they showed some new gameplay for some Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We know we got some Final Fantasy 16 DLC information drop, as well as Multiversus. I know, Steven, you mentioned about that the last episode, and now you finally got your episode this one, though. So we'll get all into those fine deets here in just a second, though. So see no reason to dilly dally any longer, though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into our pop culture segment. All right, Stephen. Now I know you're probably not excited about this though, but this one definitely caught me by surprise. It's the only thing I got pop culture segment set up for show tonight though. But apparently there's gonna be a stinking Dragon Ball theme park over here. And I was like, wait, what the heck? And I started looking at some of the, like the promotional materials. It's always interesting when they do these theme parks and stuff. It's like, I guess they have like some kind of engine or something that they just kind of do like a pre-model render or like what it ideally would all look like. And I was
Yeah,
like, you know what? This looks cool. You're over here and you get to see like the Kame House over there, Capsule Corporation, Corn's Tower over there, Kame's Lookout and stuff. I mean, the tournament grounds where they usually have host most of those tournaments and stuff. You got Shinron over there in the back. It looks really cool. Even some Red Ribbon Army references over there with one of the towers off to the far left side. I was like, dang, this looks cool. Sign me up. But Steven, take a guess where this theme park is supposed to be at.
I already know. I'm sorry,
Oh, okay, all right. Well, since
but
since you already
yeah,
know, go-
Saudi Arabia, right? If
yeah.
I'm yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. I
Well,
guess I don't know. It's interesting. It's different.
that's the thing that caught me by surprise. Is like out of all places, I expected when I first saw this announcement. I had to, it was late at night. I had to get the crust out of my eyes though. But I was at first I looked at this. I was like, oh shoot, they're putting this in Japan, right? And then they said Saudi Arabia, and I scratched my head. I was like, wait, what?
That's
Like
cool though. But yeah,
I like the idea and I like the concept and I like the premise though, but dang it, why does it gotta be Saudi Arabia? Gosh dang it. Oh.
people will go there just for this, and that's gonna
No,
be
they
funny.
will. It just personally wouldn't be me. If they would have put it in Japan or they had plans to bring this to the state wise, I'll probably will find my way to get over here. But since that's not gonna be the case, I don't know though. But I will be interested in seeing, clips and videos and stuff.
Yeah, but you were saying that like I wouldn't care much about this, and like obviously I'm not crazy invested in Dragon Ball, but I must admit from the render they showed, it does look really cool. Like it looks really unique compared to any other theme park I've seen. You have all these really tall structures, like there's a floating, looks like a floating island, and I'm like, will you
Oh
like
yeah,
take
that's
an
the Kami lookout. Yeah.
yeah, like I wonder if you'll take an elevator up there or what. That'd be so funny. Or if it's just all for display. Or maybe that's one of the rides. But like still, like it looks pretty cool. So I must say after everything happened last week and like remembering everything that he did, I actually did watch the first four episodes of Dragon Ball, like the original Dragon Ball.
Wait, you just recently went and watched him, or
Yeah,
you? Okay.
like in the last week.
Oh, okay.
So
What
like
What do you
I'm
think about him?
it's good so far. I can definitely see why it's as popular as it is. It aged pretty well for show, like a older show. It's definitely it definitely is really funny how much they got away with showing. That's all I'll say.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking.
Specifically with Goku.
Yes, no, the comedy. I started off with
It's
Dragon
good.
Ball with DBZ, then went and did GT and stuff, and then it wasn't until way later I went back and watched the OG
Yeah.
Dragon Balls. I was
Yeah,
like, gosh, I didn't expect that much comedy within the that first
yeah,
first leg of Dragon Ball.
my favorite moments so far or like Master Roshi. That's his name. Master Roshi like sinking like the submarine that the villains were in. Or like punching a hole in the submarine right before they left.
Hmm.
And then also the thing like I got last episode I got up to was like the introduction of Yamcha
Oh man, you
and
about to experience that
like
Wolf Fang fist.
yeah, but Goku and him like they fight and all that, and then Bulma just immediately crushes on him, and he crushes back, and he gets embarrassed, and that was funny.
You know what? If you keep up with watching these episodes, I love to hear your little thoughts and your little updates. Whenever we do our episodes and we get to that what you've been watching segment,
I'm
keep
thinking of
keep keep
keeping up.
going
Yeah,
on, and I just want to hear your thoughts because I'm curious because you hadn't had really any experience with Dragon Ball outside of just seeing some things here and there though. But
yeah,
I love to hear your thoughts on it as you keep watching this series. Though,
yeah.
I might go back and watch the original Dragon Ball.
I like how angry Bulma is all the time so
No,
far.
that's just her 24/7. That
I
aspect of
like it.
her rarely ever changes, even
I
in all
love
the way
that.
up in the Super though.
No, but yeah, about back to the subject of the theme park. It looks really cool. That fucking dragon, whatever, whether it's a
Shenron.
ride, yeah,
Yeah, that's
whether
got to
it's a
be a
ride
ride.
or whatever it is, that looks really cool. Maybe it's just like a roller coaster. I'd have to assume, but like it looks cool. Um, yeah, not gonna ever visit it myself, I bet, but like, yeah,
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how we're getting theme parks like what now we have the Mario theme park and we had that over there in Japan. We got the Hollywood Studios. The Universal one is being built. Now you got cool things like a Dragon Ball theme park and stuff. I wouldn't say that this is probably going to happen with too many anime properties, like if you would saw something like a Naruto or a Bleach or something like that, I mean, albeit you will have your fan bases for that, but it wouldn't nearly, compete in terms of the size and scope of like what Dragon Ball could basically do. Because everybody and their mama knows Dragon Ball, whether you like the show or not. So I mean, I can see why they went with this approach. And it's probably the only theme park I think you could probably ever get away with and have it all focused around just one show like that. Well, I say show. I mean, technically, yeah, Dragon Ball, DBZ, GT, or Super references you can throw anywhere up in the mix, though. But I think it's like the only anime you could probably ever get away with making a theme park. I just hate how Toriyama's not going to see this because I know he probably had a pretty
of
extensive
course he
hand
had a
up on
hand in
it.
it.
And who knows how many different references and stuff that, he was just putting up in there. Kind of like, how Miyamoto had his hand in play with all of the Mario theme park stuff. I just hate that one aspect about it though. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Please, 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 please don't let this be the end of it like the Mario theme park. Put this mess in Japan, put this somewhere in North America. It really needs to be brought into at least the both of those regions because Japan being the homeland where this all kind of began, and then if you bring it over to North America, you got like everybody from U.S., Canada, and the
specifically
big
Mexico.
Mexican, and yeah, in the Mexico community, they can it'll be easy for them to probably come over here to U.S. and experience the parks like that as like a vacation trip or something like that. So I
Yeah.
think those are the two spots you got to hit hardest, and then maybe you can throw something in Europe though. But I'll love to see it
Well,
one day.
yeah, I was gonna say, I honestly think, I don't know what the reason was, like the actual reason was to put it in Saudi Arabia, but I
I think it's
kind of
who's
think it's,
backing it up. I think
yeah,
I think that's the
I,
reason why.
I think it's cool that, like, in a way, like, it's gonna make so many people travel out here. It's gonna bring a lot of people together, probably. Like, a lot of different people from a lot of different places are gonna be coming and visiting this place. Kind of like, I guess, like the hunt for the Dragon Balls. Like,
Oh yeah, they
everyone,
got to have an
everyone
attraction on there.
Well, yeah, there's probably gonna be something where are you around the theme park, you'll scan like all 7 Dragon Balls,
Huh.
and you get like a reward for doing that. Kind of like how in the Mario theme park, I think you like scan stuff with your amiibo wristband. to get rewards.
Yeah, and I think that all led up to some kind of attraction with Bowser Jr., at least from what I
There was the
heard.
Mario Kart one. There's a
Yeah.
Mario Kart attraction. I'm looking at the trailer, by the way, they released for this, and the Shenron thing is a roller coaster. They showed that.
Mm.
It looks cool. I must admit, like, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, and we'll keep you updated on it, in terms of release dates and stuff like that. Obviously, since this is just the announcement, you probably wouldn't expect anything since this is from the ground. I think it might be from the ground up because it's not like Universal where it's like part of already a existing theme park. At least from my understanding, it doesn't look like it. So this might be 5, 6 years, maybe. I don't know, maybe not 7, but probably at a minimum 5 or 6 years. So it's probably a ways off though, but yeah, it looks really cool nonetheless, though. Ooh, man, goodness. Bring this to Japan, bring this to North America. Y'all can't stop with this right here. Ooh, all right. Well, I think that about does it in terms of the pop culture segment stuff. So now we'll go ahead and transition over to what's in the gaming news. Right, Stephen. Well, I got this Dragon Ball train still going. We might as well keep on rolling with it though, because we did manage to get some new gameplay footage from Bandai Namco on some Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And now this game right here is I said it before whenever we first got the announcement of it though, but this is literally the childhood game. This is the one Dragon Ball series, what we known in the West as like the Budokai series though, that I really loved. I played the mess out of Budokai Tenkaichi 2 on the Wii though. And finally to get this fourth game in the series, I'm like, heck freaking yes though. We finally got to look at the gameplay and it doesn't feel like this game has dropped a beat. Like it feels the same Budokai engine. Like you're still zipping around. It's like that 1v1 combat and stuff. The camera's right behind you and stuff. Obviously, you can do your regular Kai blast and stuff. What I noticed, at least with this gameplay, is you're able to move a whole lot faster than what you could within like those first few iterations of the series. So they did make it a lot faster. It's really cool because even like with like high energy blast, like this long blast. Like you can have enough energy and just swat it away, like literally like the anime itself. Not like standard blast, but like a Kamehameha wave. If you got enough energy, you can just swipe, pin slap the wave this away from you. So I was like, oh my gosh, that looks really cool. And yes, the transformations therein. So you can go from base Goku to all the Super Saiyan forms or the Super Saiyan Blue and all that stuff. So all the things that make the Budokai series, or should I say now the Spartan series, it's there. And I loved every second of it though. They said it was like 15 minutes. It was really like more like I think 12 or something like that minutes. Because they did kind of show off some advertising for stuff like Z Kakarot and what's it? Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and then obviously you had Xenoverse 2 and stuff. They just kind of put that mess at the very end. No release date yet. I'm still upset about that. No release date yet. I'm
Probably
hoping that
2025.
it probably is, Steven. I wanted it to be like holiday 2024. I feel like if it would have been the case, we would have known about that possibly by now.
Well,
I don't know
actually,
if we don't
I
get that
don't
release
know.
date by June, then for sure it's
Like,
2025. But
they've been showing gameplay and stuff, right?
yeah, no, I mean this is our first look at
Yeah.
the gameplay.
Like,
Yeah.
on one hand, like, when a game shows gameplay, I'd hope that it's at least like not, like hopefully most companies should do the Nintendo approach where once gameplay is shown, it's only a couple months away, but we'll see. Um my personal guess would probably be like a November, like November, December, or even just like a January, like how Tekken came out this January.
Hmm.
But yeah, the game does look cool. I know for a fact it's more unique than other fighters, right? It's a 3D fighter.
Yeah, I mean the closest thing that this series is close to is I would say Xenoverse 2, which if you've seen footage of Xenoverse 2, it's
I
similar
have
to that,
not.
but it's a little bit different.
Pokken Tournament is the only 3D fighter I've played.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, well, I don't know what other 3D fighters are there really, if you think
I
about it.
mean, I mean, 3D fighter, yeah, because most of it is 2D fighting. I'll give you that. But 3D fighters,
Mhm.
yeah, like I did Pokken like you, and most of my other experience is
Arms.
purely Dragon Ball. I mean, yeah, and then you
Yeah,
got arms and stuff like that, but I think
that
that's
game is
about
hardly
it.
a fighting game. It's more of
Yeah.
a yeah. No, but like it looks cool. That's as much as I can say. Like it certainly looks as flashy and as nice as like Dragon Ball Fighter Z does. Fighter Z looks like it came directly from from an animated series.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I did like with Fighter Z is like literally what you just said. It looks like it's straight out of the anime. And from the cutscenes and stuff I've seen right here, like usually it's all behind the camera's behind your character, you know, most of the parts while you're fighting your opponent though. But it is a dynamic camera. So literally when you do some of your techniques or special moves and stuff, it will pan around, it will zoom in and out and stuff though. It looks really cool though. And for everybody that that loves the Tenkaichi series though, yes, when you put like a Kamehameha against like a Final Flash or something like that, back in my days on the Wii, you used to swivel that nunchuk around and like just move it in a circle as fast as you can. That is back. However, I think they do it with like I think from the gameplay they showed us, it's just like hitting a bunch of buttons. So like if you're looking at a PlayStation controller, it'll be like hitting triangle, square, cross, square, or no, triangle, triangle, circle, cross, square, and then doing that over and over and over again. I have to figure out how I'm gonna do that real fast though. But yes, all that stuff
But
is back.
just like circling the buttons.
Yeah. I guess they're
Just
not
use
gonna
your
do it with
thumb.
this. Yeah, I guess you can do it with your thumb though. It's
Okay.
there's a
Have
way
you
how
ever
to do that mess because I feel like with this series in general, man, you collide so
important
much, whether it's
question?
the physical attacks or it's the special beam attacks.
Yeah, have you ever played that one Mario Party mini game, the snowboarding one,
Oh
where you
yeah,
like
I
alternate the
remember
buttons?
the
It's
yeah.
just that. Practice that mini game until you're good at doing it. There you go.
Yeah. But honestly, I saw a lot of good stuff out of the Sparking Zero stuff. We did manage to get some new characters revealed as well, which honestly, in terms of this overall roster, this is going to be the biggest roster we ever going to have in any Dragon Ball game, period. I remember the Budokai Tenkaichi like 2 and 3 rosters were fairly big. And then if you look at other things, like I guess Xenoverse has like a fairly decent one though, but wow, this roster right here, oh shoot! Like they did show off that we're gonna have both the forms of Broly. So the Broly that we know from the movies, as well as like the Broly, like that's the female version. Like we know both of those are coming. We saw characters like Hit and stuff. Dang, those beauty warriors from the Super arc. Holy shoot, they're gonna put every single one of those last. Oh man, I was about to say something else. They're about to put every last one of those characters up in here. I was like, gosh dang it. Um, so yeah, we got them up in there, and then a few other ones as well. Like obviously, we had Trunks and stuff though. So man, good gracious, there's gonna be a lot of good characters up in here. It's gonna be hard. Like you thought playing Smash Bros. Ultimate was, tricky with going in all those characters. I think like what the Smash roster is close to 100, Steven. I think this one's gonna be close to like 130. I think north of 130 characters. If I'm looking at this little thing right, it's a stupid amount of characters. By the time you
Yeah, that's what
include
I
the
heard.
regular characters and the transformations, that's
I
what
know.
really makes it.
Aren't there like many? Like, there's a bunch of different types of What is it there? Yeah, there's a bunch of different types of Gokus and Vegetas. That's like a lot of the
I
different
mean,
variants.
yeah, like
But
even
I don't
like
know. I don't know if those count as different characters or not.
well,
Technically, I know some of them probably.
technically, they do because with like for example, with base form Goku, you can do something like the Kaioken technique, but you can't do that in any of his other forms except for the super form, which they're probably going to put that back up on there though. And then like Super Saiyan 1, there's going to be a couple of things up in there. And then Super Saiyan 2 to make them a little bit different. Super Saiyan 3 to make them a little bit different. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which if they pull that GT reference up in here, then that kind of plays completely different though. And then you got the Super Saiyan God and all of this other super forms and stuff. And yeah, they got to put Ultra Instinct up in here though too. Gosh dang. Yeah, I already listed off like at least 8 different forms with Goku right there, and that's not even mentioned like his Kid Goku form, where he's also supposed to have the Great Ape form up in there. So yeah, Goku alone has like at least like 10 to 12 different forms or something like that, and that's not even including like character like Vegeta. Ooh. But yeah, so I think honestly, I gave my piece up on it though. We'll wait to see what other characters we may happen to get revealed at a later game point though. But at this point, I'm already sold on the game. I just need to know what the release date is. That's honestly what I'm looking for at this point though.
So I just seen this. So yeah, so the game's so there are 24 slots dedicated specifically to variations of Goku and Vegeta. So and like the game's gonna feature at least over 100 characters. Listen, even though even beside even if 20 of those slots are just Goku and Vegeta, that's still over 80 characters. That's no slouch. Like that's not that's a big deal.
Yeah, I
Even
would just
seeing
hate to be the one to
especially
balance all that, man.
yeah, well, like we're in the era of fighting games being so I don't know, like we've every single fighting game now launches with an expansion pass and a fighter pass or this and that. But usually the games like launch with like hardly anything.
No, yeah,
Like
because I would say with this one,
they launch with
okay.
like 20 like most fighting games now launch with like an average of maybe 15, 20 characters and then add like a couple throughout launch. I think it's better to start with an incredibly large roster. Of course, it's not easy. It's not easy to make that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the way how they're gonna do it is this roster is gonna be so big they won't have to mention anything about DLC for a while, and then
Yeah,
they can
for
just hit us with
development.
it 6 months or a year after and say here's some extra ones. It'll probably be like characters from movies or could be from other past games if they happen to gloss over them. We'll just have to wait and see what this roster looks like though. But no, it's gonna be a great starting roster of characters right here. Whew. But yeah, I think that's about it in terms of the Spark and Zero discussion, though. But we'll keep you updated. Hopefully, when they give us a release date in the future. Gosh, my God. Oh, man. Come on, Bandai. Give it to me. Give it to me. All right. We went from one fighting game. We might as well keep this train going with the fighting games, though. Multiversus. I guess you summoned this. Well, we knew it was coming back at some point, though. You mentioned in the last episode, and I guess they heard you. So now they officially said, mic check. Well, we're coming back though, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I think the date is basically coming back right around summertime or so. Whenever this game's coming back.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the reveal was the most underwhelming thing they could have possibly done. Um in my opinion. Like the reveal was just bad, man. Uh,
Wait, there was a
like,
reveal. I just
well,
saw
no,
the
no, not the
little
reveal. Well,
PNG thing with May 28th up on there.
well, yeah, they did like a trailer where, like, the trailer was like hyping up, like, they were hyping up this like big comeback, and they were just saying, "Oh, we moved to a new engine, and we've made adjustments to the gameplay experience." And they didn't like, I don't know. I thought like for their whole like, we're back moment that they'd at least show some new characters or something.
Maybe they're just
Like
trying
at
to
least
hold those
just
cards
one.
closer to the chest, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't get it. Like especially because like a lot of stuff is leaked. That's the issue. Half of everything they've done recently has been leaked out early.
Hmm.
Obviously I am excited for the game coming back. Like I liked this game when I played it a decent amount. It's just that they were not supporting it nearly enough. It just fell off extremely fast. I think the live service aspect of it is horrid. Like they did not do it well.
Yeah, maybe.
The only way you can do it well is by constantly supporting it. You need to do what Fortnite does and give people reasons to come back, like big things coming to the game
Yeah, and
sporadically.
I think that's the one tricky thing with fighting games is usually with most fighting games you're usually paying an upfront cost. Like a Street Fighter 6, you're paying $60 to get up in here. Smash Brothers, that's $60 right there, though. And then, you got your Tekkens over here, you got your Mortal Kombats and stuff. A lot of those games is, you got some kind of barrier to entry. It's not, albeit a big one, but the standard MSRP, it's like $60 at a minimum getting in. And then
Yeah,
usually, once you're in that ecosystem, then you're kind of after you played it for a while, maybe they'll give you some kind of expansion pass, some character builds, DLC, and then that's those characters that kind of give it to you slowly or whatever. Though I give credit to Warner Brothers how they're kind of trying to flip this thing up on its head. There's not a lot of fighting games out there that allow you to jump in for free, so your audience could be really big. How are you going to keep those people invested within your ecosystem for this one game? And albeit since it's a live service model, you just got to have some way to have some routine updates. It's not the easiest thing in the world, at least I don't think, to constantly add new characters in. At least
Well,
if you were trying to
yeah,
get these like unique builds and stuff and trying to get some personality and some flavor for each one of these characters, you just don't want there to be like some, a couple or a few different characters and be like, oh, this has the same moveset.
yeah.
Don't really feel different. That's probably the worst thing you can do in a fighting game. So,
That's why, in
mm,
my opinion, this game should not be live service. It should not have been live service. Because I like it. I really do. But, like, the whole issue with the game, in my opinion, is that people are just going to move to the next multiplayer game. Like, this isn't going to fill a void that Smash is leaving behind or whatever. Because that's what all of these games try to do. Like, this one is more special because it's, like, it's more heavily focused on 2v2 than anything else.
yeah.
And it's fun. It's definitely more unique. You have like these perks that you equip before a match that augment your stats, kind of like spirits in a way. But like
Mm.
that's like the main gameplay. It's part of like it's part of it. Like no, I guess maybe the competitive doesn't use it, but I had fun when I used them. The roster was balanced pretty well. There were some characters that I thought were a little stupid, but I had fun playing basically anyone, and
How
it
big was
controlled
the
pretty
roster
well.
whenever it first
It was
came
about
out?
It was about like when the game first came out, I think like 14 characters. It grew to about like 20, maybe a little bit more than 20.
Okay, so about 6. Mm.
They added LeBron James specifically from Space Jam 2, and that was really funny.
Now I remember that one. That was kind of funny.
I I mostly used Batman, and it was cool. Obviously rest in peace to Kevin Conroy who voiced him in that game. He was really good.
Mm. Wait, hold on. Did
Um,
this game have voice acting in it originally, or
yes.
okay,
Yeah, no, it did. No,
okay,
that's the
that's what
thing.
it is. Because
This game has a lot of budget around it. Most of the original voice actors came back for this.
yeah, because that was the thing I was trying to remember between this and Nickelodeon All Stars. All Nickelodeon All Stars didn't have it, and they went back and patched it in later. I was trying to
Yeah.
remember between the two. Okay,
And then Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2 added it back in. But in
yeah.
my opinion, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2 feels more like a celebration of those franchises, and it feels more like a complete package now with the second game. While this game, something just still feels like incomplete with it. It's missing the sauce, as people would say.
Okay. And here's one more question I
Yeah,
got for
what?
you. I know in Nickelodeon All Stars, 'cause I didn't even play Multiversus. I think I somehow managed to get the beta code for it, but I never sat down and did it before they took it away from everybody. But I know in
Yeah,
Nickelodeon All Stars, if you wanted to jump with your character, you had to hit like an X button on your controller to jump. When so used to in Smash Brothers doing the stick to jump. In Multiversus, is it a button that you press the jump, or do you also have the option of using like a stick jump?
I don't remember, but I think there
Oh,
was stick jump that I turned
okay.
off.
They
I don't
they
know.
better they better have stick
It's
jump because
it's
that's
not a
my
big
pet
deal.
peeve. I don't know why, but while I was trying to play Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, there's so many times I want to hit up on the stick. I've been playing
It's
like
gotta get
that since like my Nintendo 64 days with Smash Brothers on the 64. It's so ingrained in me. It's hard. I do my short hops and stuff, or like quick forward airs and stuff using the jump button with a combination of an attack button. I'm okay with that. But if I'm trying to like recover or go real high up, I usually use a stick, and that just throws me off.
yeah. No, I always use tap. Ever since Ultimate, I've been using tap jump. I've been religiously tap jumping. It was always really annoying playing on Joy Cons with tap jump, or like tapping. Oh no, like tapping up the jump, and especially on I used to play Smash 4 using the Wii remote because I'd play with a bunch of friends, 8-player Smash,
Oh
and
gosh.
we'd have to use Wii remotes for some of us. No, dude, that
Oh
tap
wait,
jump is
just a Wii remote
impossible.
or Wii remote
Yeah,
nunchunk?
Wii remote.
Oh, that's terrible, bro.
Yeah,
I never
single
did that. Even
Joy-Cons.
with Brawl, I always had to have
Single
at least a nunchunk with me,
at
bro.
least uh, at least single Joy-Con has enough buttons to let you do a jump button. But yeah, um, back to Multiverses though. Like I've shat on this game a decent amount in the last 5 minutes, but honestly, when it comes back, play it, try it. It's a fun game.
No,
I
I
have fun
definitely
with
will
it.
try it out
My
whenever it comes back. Now I have
just
to
yeah,
partner up with you since it focuses
yes.
on 2v2s.
Just don't buy anything because I have no I have no idea if this game's gonna stick around anymore. The fact it like just shut down for an entire year is more embarrassing than anything else. It just either shows that they weren't prepared to do this, or Warner Brothers just did not have faith.
Then again, didn't they call it like a beta to begin with anyway? So they
Yes, but
knew that.
Fortnite
I guess
was a
they did that as
beta.
a cushion just in case if something slipped and fell, and obviously it kind of did. But
I'm gonna check something. Fortnite left beta like multiple years after its popularity. It left beta in June 2020,
hmm.
which, if you don't know, is at least 2 years after it was completed. Well, after it became popular, which I just think is really funny. Like, being in beta doesn't mean anything. Like, they could have kept it available to play. It's just that they did not have content. Like, that's the thing. Why would they leave it? Why would they leave the servers up if they had no content coming out and probably no money to make it back?
Yeah, I think they were
It
just
was,
caught between a rock and a hard place because you drop something out in beta, originally what you're trying to do, you're just trying to stress test the servers and stuff, see if anybody notices any weird glitches, any kind of weird bugs, things that you can use to improve the game. And then usually people will normally they'll close it down, work and tweak on that stuff, bring it back. We've seen this with several other fighting games. Street Fighter does it all the time. I remember that with Street Fighter 6. I even got into some of those betas as well, though. That's usually what they're usually made for. I think with Multiversus, it just took off and became a hit real fast to the point where it's like, you know what, we can just kind of transition this over into a game. And then when they notice, the player base starting to fall off, they're like, well, crap, we already said we're a beta. Let's go ahead and shut the game down now and let's
yeah,
go ahead and do a reboot on it. And I think that's literally
basically
what
that.
happened.
Like, I think it was a good idea to just completely shut down, but at the same time, why even reveal it at all back then? Should have just kept waiting.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to
I don't know.
see what they come up
I
with. What was it? Was it shut down for 6 months, Steven?
yeah,
Six.
it was
Okay.
no, no, like no,
Or
it's more
will it
like
be
a
a whole
year.
year?
I think it was July 2022, Zard. I think.
Hmm.
I think it was gone for the entirety of last year. I might be wrong on that. It might have been a 2023 game. I swear it was 2022 though. But in my opinion, the thing that's the most telling about this is that in the gameplay they just showed, Zard, there's like, I know it's been what, almost 2 years. Yeah. It has been almost 2 years. I just
Yeah,
looked it
no, it
up.
shut down June
And
25th of last year.
2023?
Yeah.
Oh, it started in 2022. Yeah. It started in 2022, and it does not look, it hardly looks different. Like, I really hope that when the game actually gets its big showcase closer to May, that they show that they've been working on a ton of characters to steadily stream out over the course of the lifespan of the game. Because my issue was that it was extremely inconsistent when the game was active, Zard. Like, they started really good. They released a character a month, and then they went radio silent for months. And then they released another character, and then they went radio silent again, and then released Black Adam, and I think that was it.
Mm. Oh, release Black Adam as a kid. When you said Black
Yeah,
Adam, I was thinking the actual movie. I
because
was like, wait, what?
no, like, because yeah, and then they gave the Dwayne Johnson skin of Black Adam, like they put it in Multiverses because that movie had an extremely big marketing push for some reason.
Mm.
And then after that, hardly anything. I had like a shitty Valentine's Day event, and that was it. I think the issue is that, like, who the hell is gonna buy a Valentine's Day skin for Batman? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. That to me doesn't make sense. I don't.
just I don't I'm not gonna buy Valentine's Day
It's
skins
not
for the
like this game
characters.
is
It's not
filled
a
with like a
seasonal
bunch of
thing.
Fire Emblem waifus or like Genshin waifus or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that stuff ain't gonna. Well, it's because they don't have that stuff up in there, so that's why that stuff
Yeah.
ain't gonna sell. So I don't know
It
what
is
they're
a
thinking.
game about fan service and about multiverse. It is in the name. Why don't you bring some new stuff into it? It's about the multiverse. Bring like new variants of characters in. Like, they have, like, in the game they had like the animated series skin for Batman, and that was cool, but it was fucking $20 for a skin. in a
Ugh.
fucking platform fighter. No, Fortnite can get away with it because, like, it's like I think Fortnite can get away with it much easier because, like, the game is more generous with the V-Bucks and the pricing, and it has the battle pass. Like, you don't need to get the skins like that. But like, I don't know, man. Putting the most popular cosmetic in your game behind a $20 paywall when all of the other skins are around like $8. No.
Okay.
Maybe I'm in the minority here. The most I'd be willing to pay for like a skin in one of those games is $4. I am not paying for more than
No,
$4.
I mean, Smash Bros. Kind of treat me, kind of got my expectations with how much a character should cost. At most, I say $7 at most.
No, for a
Now,
skin.
and as for a skin, less than that. I say $4. I'm not even gonna say
Yeah.
5.
Like an Echo Fighter, basically, I guess, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
All right. Last question on this, Steven, and then we'll probably move on. Though, did they
Yeah.
put my boy Ben 10 up in here?
They revealed no new characters. No, we don't
What the
know.
freak, man? That's the reason
But
why y'all shut this game down. You don't have
they
Ben 10
showed
up in this game.
they showed a Powerpuff Girls stage and a Dexter's Lab stage,
Nah, they need to
which
get rid. They
probably
need to get rid of them two and put. They need to prioritize my boy Ben 10 over here. I'm telling you, man, we got a large
he'll
fan base within the
probably
Ben 10 community right here, and I can't say how many rows of people you might get up in this game. It might not be enough to save the game, but at least you'll keep
okay.
it running for a little bit.
Do you want me to read like the leaks of like what characters are heavily rumored to be coming?
Uh, mm, mm, all right, go ahead.
All right, so the ones that are like basically confirmed are like Samurai Jack, which is gonna be cool if true. Mordecai from regular show, which would be really funny if true. Powerpuff Girls, which they kind of showed already. Marceline from Adventure Time, which we already have some characters in there, so probably. The Joker, which, like, come on, you have Batman, so of course the Joker is gonna be in. Some data mined ones were Scooby Doo, uh, Poison Ivy, Static Shock, uh,
Oh, my boy, Static Shock. Oh shoot,
which
now
would
we're
be yeah,
talking.
that'd be cool. This one's probably scrapped. Emmett from the Lego Movie.
Oh
Warner
no, yeah,
Brothers Warner Brothers technically owns that character.
bro.
Uh, I don't know, some Game of Thrones bitches I don't care about. Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz, which was like heavily rumored.
With the boss.
Yes. Pickle Rick, Raven from Teen Titans, Beetlejuice. All of these characters are probably coming, and like they're, I don't know, there's good picks in there, like Static Shock, Raven from Teen Titans, Joker, Samurai Jack. Like I'm excited for those characters, but like, come on, man.
Wait, hold on. I
Like,
think did they have this character already up in here? The wizard from the Lord of the Rings.
no,
What? Okay, that's another reason why they're messing up because they should put that dude up in here
yeah,
just so I can put the taunt up in there. Like imagine you're behind me, Steven, and I'm edge guarding somebody, and then that taunt comes out and it's like you're ass. And just like bring up like a firewall or something up there. I just want to spam the mess out of that. Make that happen, multiverses. That and Ben 10. That's my only two wishes.
yeah. There's, yeah, basically like the thing about multiverses is people are saying that like any character can happen. Like it doesn't have, it could be real people because LeBron James is in, and that's aspect could be fun. Like literally, the possibilities are endless. You can make some really stupid and funny characters out of that. But so far, like it really just looks like they're sticking to Warner Brothers properties. Apparently, there's some more. Because by the way, in multiverses, there was like one original character. It was like this dog thing, like reindeer dog thing. It was like original to multiverses. Apparently, they might be adding some more original characters to the game.
Hmm.
Which
Okay.
I don't know. Who fucking cares? Apparently, Walter White was like considered, which would be really funny from Breaking Bad. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Fucking SpongeBob I see on one of these lists. That's
Okay,
no,
no,
it's not.
that's going into weird. No, that ain't gonna happen. I'll stop you
No,
right
like
there.
people. No, people are really passionate about certain characters they want in the game, but like I don't know. I like the game. I've been talking about it for this long. I really do like the game, and I hope it's good. But like, I don't know. After they shut down the game, after not really supporting it at all. I don't know. It just got boring.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that'll probably about do it in terms of multiverses, though. We'll keep y'all posted and updated whenever the game finally comes out, and I can actually test it out the full version. We'll kind of go from there, though. But next up on the docket, we have some Final Fantasy 16 news. Yes, we finally got the DLC release date for the second wave of that DLC, that being the Rise and Tide, and that is supposed to come out on April the 18th. Not too much more to say upon that, outside of the fact that if you hadn't played Final Fantasy 16, or at least gone all the way through and beaten the game, but I would say you
Yeah.
really need to actually go through and play this game though. I've been waiting for the second wave of the DLC to come out. So once that comes out, then I can go back and play the first part and the second part back to back. And I think overall, if you play, I think first wave is like 10 hours, is what they said. And this second wave, I think they said it's about to be 15 or something. So I think put those two together, that's 45 hours. Me, I don't know about you, Steven, but I enjoy those games that can be somewhere between 20 and 40 hours. And at this point, at the game, where I'm at in life, I was like, if a game is 20 to 40 hours, I feel like that's just essentially a whole new game right there. So yeah, that'll give me another good reason for me to jump back into 16, which honestly it was like my third overall pick for game of the year for 2023. So a freaking phenomenal game. For an update though, but I'm glad they gave it out to us though. I think that's the only big thing I'm hyped for the month of April before you get into like May and June where you get what is it, Paper Mario 1000 Year Door in May, and June would have been Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, but no, that's all I got to say about this. Steven, you still hadn't played 16 yet, huh?
No. Well, I haven't beaten it. I had like 7 hours in it.
7 hours ain't enough, man. You got to get to 40, and then you're about done,
Yeah.
man.
Right now the RPG I'm currently knee deep into is Pokemon Platinum. I finally got back on that.
What the heck?
Well, I have the all. I gotta play those Pokemon games I bought sometime.
All right, all right. You got to spill the beans here when we get to that game in the segment, though. I got to
Yeah.
hear it. All right, but yeah, I think 16 really good. I'm really looking forward to this DLC. Square Enix, y'all cooking this year. Y'all cooking. Seven Rebirth was great. We're getting the 16 DLC stuff, and I feel like we might get some other Square Enix thing in the second half of the year. Oh no. No, we know that what is it? What's the name of that game? Visions of Mana. That's supposed to be coming out like summertime, some point, June or July. I'm really looking forward to that game as
Oh
well. So Square
yeah,
Enix has
they
been
did reveal
cooking.
it.
Yeah, they've been cooking this year. They've been cooking. All right. All right. This next one right here. Oh, we got to talk about this. You know, I feel like I'm walking in the middle of a desert, Steven. And anytime we get some Marvel related news, I'm just like, trying to get like these last few drops out of like this water canteen over here. Like I'm dying over here. I'm dying, Steven. No, but we managed to get some updated news for what was at the time we knew it as a crossover game between Black Panther and Captain America. That's all we knew about it up until this point. And then finally, with it being Gamescom and stuff, and you know, the developers behind Fortnite with Epic Games and stuff, like they want to kind of showcase off Unreal Engine 5 and stuff. And this is having to be one of the games that are kind of showcasing off though. But we figure out the name of this game is called Marvel 1943: The Rise of Hydra. And at first, I ain't gonna lie with you, Steven. I was watching this trailer, and while I was just, skimming through Twitter and stuff like that, at first I thought this was a movie. I was, just looking at it, surface value, the way how this game looks in Unreal Engine 5, it looks like it's just straight out of a movie. I,
The
I,
way No, I understand that, but
this
just like
engine is impressive. I'm
no,
just gonna say that.
no, it certainly is impressive, especially with like the faces. But like I'm looking at it like just with the way they move, you can certainly still tell that it's computer generated.
I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell, but for most people, they have to do a double take. The fact that you have to do a double take, because
No, for your
if
no,
you
for
want
your
to,
general
yeah,
audience, yes. For your general audience that only looks at something once, that yeah, fine.
Ooh, but yeah, so it's interesting. So obviously, this is going to be around the World War II era. So if you know anything about Captain America, that's about the time whenever he means to show up on the scene, though.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a
I've
crossover
watched it.
between him, the Black Panther, which I think this is like technically his you know, chat. Oh no, I was about to say the actual actor of the thing. No, 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 no. But
T'Challa
T'Challa. I meant to say
is his
T'Challa, but I was about to
grandfather,
say
right?
Chadwick Boseman. I don't know why I was about to say that. But but yeah, T'Challa's. I think this is his like great grandfather or something crazy like that. Playing that Black Panther role, and then obviously you have Captain himself, and then you got like two other characters as well. So I think between these four different characters that you're seeing on the screen right here is like the people that you're gonna really be juggling back and forth on. And this is like one of the few games that we know that Marvel Games is working on at the moment. Because usually they don't directly make these games. Marvel, the studio over there at Marvel Games, but they help with the I guess with the crossover of which developers are going to work on whatever kind of games. Like right now, we know that Wolverine's also being worked on, and we know that's going to be coming out here fairly soon. According to the Insomniac leaks, we know there's going to be a Spider-Man 3 and stuff like that. We just saw the fruits of the labor between this game right here, and then remind you there's also a solo Black Panther game that's in the works. There's an Iron Man game in the works, and remember the Blade game that was showcased off at what was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Game
Game Awards.
Awards. No?
There we go,
Yeah.
Game Awards. Yeah, so that's under the Xbox umbrella right there, though. So that's basically all of the Marvel games we know that are being worked on right now. So obviously, with this one, as impressed as I was visually looking at it, of course, I had to go down and do some digging up on the studio itself that's actually making this, though. Because what I figured out is this is essentially a new gaming studio made by a company that usually makes a bunch of movies. Now, Steven, go ahead and say a few more thoughts of what you got on this game while I try to pull up this page on Wikipedia.
A movie studio making games is what you said?
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's
it's
not like
gonna be a
it's
so
like
it's gonna be a
yeah, it's
Sony game.
founded.
It's
It's
gonna be
kind of
a
like that
fucking Sony game. Like
basically. But
not
if it's a
not to
Spider-Man 2 game, I'm telling you.
yeah, but Spider-Man 2 has actual gameplay. It's a movie game, but it's a movie game where you actually do things. I'm saying your Last of Us Part 2 or your Uncharted, like your actual games that are your God of War, Ragnarok, where like there's just movie, some gameplay, movie, which is a little tiring. But this game actually does look interesting, just because of the whole it seems like it's gonna be a single player game from what they said,
Oh
and more
yeah,
of
yeah,
those
it's
are
a
always
single
nice.
player. Yeah.
But like we don't know. Like we don't. I hope it's not like live service shit. I hope it's good because it looks nice. Obviously, the visuals look nice.
Hmm.
It's being so the person behind it is Amy Hennig, which has under her belt is the Uncharted trilogy and some other games. Which yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
And I think, yeah, and I finally picked it up. Yeah, so it is made basically by Skydance Studios. That's the new name of the studio, though. But however, it's also founded by Skydance Productions. And if I were to kind of list out some game or not games, some movies that they based. Oh, hold on here. Yeah, yeah, films. Yeah, so some films that they managed to release. Obviously, they did some Star Trek films and stuff like that. Flyboys. Mission Impossible, Fallout. I'm looking over here.
Oh
Snake
no.
Eyes. Try to see here. All the Transformers, like the Rise of the Beast, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part One. I know that's a recent one right there. So they made some good movies up underneath their belts. So I'm thinking story wise in the narrative, I think will be there based upon some of these, movies that they had made in the past. So I'm not worried about the story aspect in comparison to some other these like, Marvel movies we had lately though. I'm just saying Eternals and, things like She-Hulk. So I'm not worried about the story. I guess the major thing we got to look at now is just the gameplay, which obviously we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
We do know the game's supposed to come out in 2025, So that is a little bit of something, but I'm just waiting
Yeah.
for that gameplay showcase thing at this point.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a movie game, it better be a damn good movie. And if it's gonna be a game with movies, it better be a damn good game. Because
Yeah, they did
I
stuff like
hate,
Star Trek
I
4,
fucking hate when games
G.I.
just
Joe.
reveal themselves. Like when games reveal themselves with like, you know, these CG trailers that don't mean anything. Like, let me give an example, Zard. If Metroid Prime 4, if they showed like a CG trailer, that's fine because it's a sequel to Metroid Prime 3. You know, the audience will probably assume it's got a similar gameplay style to the rest of them. While this is a new, this isn't a sequel to anything. So when you reveal a new project and you only show fucking movies, no, it worries me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean, but
Like,
since this is a studio, a gaming studio founded, it's kinda like, you know, it's like a movie studio that invested and founded and created a small little branch. You can, pull upon the experience and the expertise you have with in terms of like, making a plot or storyline and something like that. I think that's the one aspect that's going to be really good. It's just who did they pull in gaming wise that knows their games to actually make it. Now, obviously, you
yeah,
you said the
that's
woman that's
the
going to be like spearheading is known for the Uncharted series. So this is more so like who did she pull gaming wise to kind of piece together this game. That's the other half we gotta see of, what's gonna happen with this game.
yeah, I just think the issue is that like the issue is that it's just like the gaming industry now, especially on the PS, on like the blockbuster side of things. It's always just a
Say it,
bit
it's the
like
PS5.
well, it's just a like bigger dick challenge. Like, oh, I can make better graphics. No, I can make better graphics. No, I can make better graphics. And it really just leads to some horrible games coming out. I don't know. I want to have optimism in this because like the concept seems interesting and it actually looks like a next like what I imagine a next gen game would look like. Like it looks like it's actually taking advantage of next gen, which is interesting. But um the writer behind it also worked on Forspoken, which worries me. 'Cause that game is cringe as hell
Mm.
and written horribly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for these movie games, especially with how these games usually have really high budgets, I'm expecting the world. If you're promising like if you're promising like this really high budget, really realistic game, then you better have the budget to actually make it good. Because there's no reason why indie developers have a better idea of what makes a fun game than actual blockbuster studios. People that should have more resources under their belt to know why a game is fun.
Yeah. So I mean, and Disney does have that studio Marvel Games that helps with these, Marvel games are being made by other different studios. And even if we were to go back and, look at the most recent one we had and just the track record of what Marvel Games has been associated with, and we have to see how far back we have to go in order to get a bad Marvel game. Like what the most recent one, everybody remembers is Spider-Man 2. That was good. Marvel's Midnight Suns. I hadn't gotten into it, but I heard good things about it. Marvel Snap, obviously that's like a mobile thing, but I heard good things about it. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That was actually a good game right there.
That's what I
Even
heard. I have it, but I've
I,
never
I
played it.
have it. It's actually really good. So I was like, okay, that was really good right there. They had some other mobile games, but I'll skip over those. Miles Morales, that was a hit right there. Skip over.
Wait,
So
well,
literally, oh what?
I heard that Guardians wasn't that one an actual single player game, so there
Yeah, it
you
was
go.
an actual single player game. So literally, remember, Square Enix published Marvel's Avengers, and that's what kind of gave it the bad taste right there. And then they turned around and made Guardians of the Galaxy, was actually was a really good game, but given the track record that they published, the Avengers game right there, that didn't do too hot. That's why some people didn't really give Guardians of the Galaxy,
Cause
any kind of favors, even though it
yeah,
was really good.
cause you need goodwill. You need like actual heart behind it. It's like the difference between like the past MCU and the modern MCU. Where
Yeah.
like the past MCU, it had so much heart and like it needed to be good to build your trust before it broke it, and it certainly has broke it. Other night I watched Iron Man 1 and 2, and I still love those movies. They're still perfect. Okay, well, Iron Man 1 is still perfect.
I think Iron Man 2 I like Iron Man 2 better than 1. I don't know. I seen that one more times than the first one though, but the first one's still really good though too. It's
I
just my
think
personal taste.
Iron Man 2 just falls off a little bit when it comes to like the stuff in the in-betweens, like with Black Widow and stuff.
Man, that's some of the
And
best
also
parts, bro.
the
What
the
you looking
villain
at?
the villain is less interesting, even though the villain from the first one wasn't even that great. He was at least funny to watch. The actor that played
Nah,
him was
that
really good.
no man, don't say that about the second villain, the dude in the second movie, because
No,
that
he's
that
good.
dude was bold, man. He came out
No,
there with the two
I wish
whips and slashing cars left and right. No
yeah, I
one would
wish
have
he
the
was in it
audacity
more.
just to
No,
roll up on a racetrack like that, bro.
that's my issue. I wish he was in the movie more. That's what I
Oh,
mean.
okay, okay. I see. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, like he just shows up halfway through and then shows up at the end. At least those are the only like actually important scenes with him. I don't know. It's more of a Tony Stark development movie than anything else. But we're going off topic. Back to this. I hope it's good. Um, Guardian. If it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy game and it's an actual single player game, then there's a possibility that they can fine tune it to make it fun and good.
Yeah, I mean, since the Avengers flop right there, in terms of this console games between Miles Morales, Guardians of the Galaxy, Midnight Suns, Spider-Man 2, we've been on a roll thus far. So I hope that the streak can, stay alive. Once we get this Rise of the Hydra game, and then like we have Wolverine, Iron Man, Black Panther, Blade coming out all in the future though. So I still think between all of those, starting off with this one, I think we're good. I'm content story wise. I think it's going to be pretty sick. Like, I love myself some Black Panther. I love myself some edgy Captain America though. And seeing those two duke it out that early on, and then talking about Hydra, so the plot's going to write itself. I ain't worried about that. It's just all about the
Yeah.
gameplay. So
Well, I
I
think
feel like we'll get that gameplay maybe around the E3ish time when we'll have Summer Game Fest or something
yeah,
like that.
inserting Black Panther into like this time period that I'm more, the MCU kind of definitely did not take that turn, but like having Black Panther in that same time period with Captain America is pretty interesting, honestly.
Yeah, because not
But
all of this, I don't think it's going to take
yeah,
place in the U.S. Like it's going to take place in those European countries. So think about Black Panther coming from Africa all the way up to Europe and stuff. So be interesting.
yeah. I'm looking at a post right now, and someone like there's like the comments on this trailer literally say, "Is this a movie or is this a game?"
Exactly.
People don't know, and I think that's an issue. I think this the way they're trying to vaguely market it. Like, obviously they're just, it's like look at these graphics and not look at this game we're making. Makes me worried.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see though. But I imagine who knows how many of these Unreal Engine 5 games. If people are just making these games in that engine and they just all happen to look super realistic, where you just can't tell that if it's real, like in the sense of it's a movie versus this is an actual game. At some point, we're just gonna naturally move towards that trend. So then you really got to read in the fine print. Is this actually a game, or are you seeing like rated E for everyone, or is this kind of rated like or like the TV ratings and stuff like that though. So I don't know. It's something to kind of keep your eyes out on though. But nonetheless, though, I'm excited for this game regardless. Unless the game just looks like hot garbage, I will go through and try to play. Like I feel like most of these Marvel games since Spider-Man on the PS4 and Miles Morales on the PS5 and stuff, I feel like with most of those games, I've been trying to get them physical and stuff. It kills me with Blade how that's going to Xbox, and more than likely, I'm probably have to play that on PC because there's no way I'm buying an Xbox just to buy a physical copy of Blade like that. I mean, I could have a copy of Blade sitting on my shelf though, but what is that Xbox game going to do for me though? I don't know. That's the only thorn in my side though. But outside of that, I'm probably going to pick up all these Marvel games. I'm just that much of a fanatic for it though. But I think this one has some promise, but we got to see what comes out of the oven though.
Yeah. Last thing I will say about it is that the guy that plays Black Panther is the same guy that voices Cyborg in all Teen Titans stuff, and I think that's pretty cool.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, that he sounded familiar at first,
Oh, okay.
so
All
now
right.
I
That's
know.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Alrighty, well, that's gonna be it for Marvel 1943. So now we'll go ahead and jump over to the big juicy potato up on this one. Yes, we're talking about these alleged PS5 Pro leaks. I'm usually, not the quickest person to talk about a whole bunch of rumors or a whole bunch of leaks unless something's really credible. And this one's actually credible enough because, once you do a little bit of digging up on this information, the specs and stuff for the PS5 stuff has came out of developer notes that are usually sent to certain developers. Like there's like a blog that Sony sends out to developers and kind of keep them in the know-how and stuff, what's kind of going on with the hardware and stuff. And apparently those developer notes are what actually managed to leak out though. So if you do your little digging and research, you figure out real quick that yes, the PS5 Pro is going to be a thing, and what Sony is shooting for is to release this mess at holiday. So, if you take all of that stuff at face value, that's what we're kind of sitting at right now. So, Steven, are you picking up the PS5 Pro if it happens to drop out this holiday?
No! Why the
and
hell would
tell
I
and
buy?
tell me why you ain't picking this mess up.
They haven't even tapped the potential of the PS5 even close. And listen, even if the PS5 needed an upgrade, one, why even release the PS5 in general? I feel like they only did it just to keep hype going, not to actually release a good product. Like I don't know. Like the problem is that the PS5 doesn't have any personality of its own. You know what I mean? The PS4 generation gave us so many good games for PS4. Like the PS4 defines itself with the games it had. It had so many games. PS5 is 5, and half like 2 of them aren't even that good.
And even if you want to, stretch it a bit and say, all right, I'm just not a PC gamer. I ain't gonna play any games on PC. All right, then change that five number that you have right now. And I think that's like close to 12 or 13 at most. But it ain't that many, regardless, even if you bend the rules a little bit though. But
Yeah,
ugh.
listen, I understand that some people just want to have a console and turn on their game, turn on their console and play their games. I know that some people don't want to go through the hassle of building a PC, but if but why would you ever buy a PS Pro for slightly more power when you already have a PS5? No one's going to upgrade to this.
Well, don't say no one because there are some,
Sony
Sony
fans will,
ponies
yeah,
out there that will
yes.
probably do it.
No, but
So
it's just gonna be a complete phase out of the PS5. It's not gonna be a PS5 Pro. It's gonna just be the new PS5.
no, I wouldn't say that because these electric, like, think about it. The MSRP right now for the base PS5 is $500, and they come out with this PS5 Pro. Shoot, I'm gonna go ahead and throw
Uh,
my bet out there. It's probably gonna be $600.
if you're going out of your way to buy a PS5 Pro, you should just save a bit more and get a PC that will last you way longer and is so much more versatile.
But Steven, I don't want to play on PC. I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't want to play PC.
Well, then you're a fucking idiot if you don't want to play on
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
PC.
whoa,
That's
whoa.
the
Okay,
devil's
it's too early.
advocate. Yeah, I'm
Ugh,
just saying. That is
goodness.
true. Well, come on. There's nothing wrong with PC. You just need to, for general audiences,
But
they just
some
can't
people don't like.
handle.
But some people work a 9 to 5 shift and they're on their
I
computer all
work
day
a,
long. So
I
they're
work
like,
a
you know
seven
what?
to
I just
three
want to sit on
shift.
my big old couch over here on my sofa and lay out and sprawl out on the big TV. Well, all I got to do is just hit the power button up on that thing, and then bada bing, bada boom, I got my game showing up on my TV. I
Well,
don't need
yeah,
to go up in the computer, punching my password, doing
yeah,
all this stuff on the keyboard. I don't like touching the keyboard when
but
I'm
what
playing
is
my
the
game.
point? Yeah, but if you're a general audience consumer and you see PS5 and PS5 Pro on the same page, why the hell are you gonna spend $100 more for a slight upgrade that doesn't even matter to you? Like, what games actually fully use the capabilities of the PS5?
Well, I mean, you got certain
I don't
games
know.
that come out like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which this ain't me talking. This is from what I gather on the internet though. But it's not even just this game in general. There are some games out there, and I think this is the number one thing that I could see a pro being cool for, but isn't necessarily needed. Maybe not 100%. Is the fact that with every game you boot up, you're either playing that thing in performance mode or you're playing it in graphics mode. You're either playing it in 4K 30 frames per second, or you're probably playing the game at either 1080 or 1440p at 60 frames per second. If this PS5 Pro could consistently do 4K 60, then I think they're on to something and cooking though. But
I
you
hope
know,
so.
knowing Sony, they ain't gonna do that. It's just gonna do things slightly a little bit better. And we ain't gonna get in that, that technical jargon and stuff of all the what the specs actually mean because I
That's an
ain't no
issue.
I ain't no computer geek or nothing like that though. And even then, I wouldn't be able to educate y'all that well. Regardless, though, these games are gonna run better on your pro, but how much better is the real question. Now,
Yeah, we're
obviously,
reaching the peak. You can't get much more than semi-realism. Like at that point, like here's the thing, Zard. We're already witnessing this. You see how big game budgets are getting, and you see how big indie games are thriving recently.
yeah.
We're reaching the point where the game industry is gonna crash, and it's gonna crash hard because companies keep, it's like, have you ever watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? It makes
Ooh,
me th-
yeah.
it makes me think of the mayor from that movie, bigger is better. Like, bigger file sizes, bigger numbers, bigger graphics. They think it means better.
Yeah.
Let's make a PS5 Pro that literally changes like two things. Give it a slightly more cool design just to make the general audience think they want it more. It makes me really mad, honestly, that they're just gonna sell this and people will buy it.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
I
know.
mean, like what you're saying, we're basically hitting the point of diminishing returns. Yes, you can push graphics as high as you can get it, but when you push it up that high, then obviously you're gonna have the cost of these games going up really high. We saw that leak with Insomniac Games, like the projected, cost for games that could be in development for like Spider-Man 3, when especially when you're dealing with licensed game, but let's just say in a general sense, like, most of your games are, we know Sony is like the big movie games. That's just kind of their mantra and what they're really known for. Obviously, you can only go so much higher in cost before then. eh, I don't know why, Steven, but I heard this term be spit out a couple of times. And I think people kind of playing around with this though, but shoot, somebody was mentioning about something like a quadruple A. Could you imagine a quadruple A where it's like basically a triple A game that's like not $60, $70. And then even with that $70 game that you happen to buy straight out of the store, then you have game stuff like microtransactions and stuff they're still trying to sell onto you on top of that. At the rate we're going in the industry, you're gonna have something that's gonna be an imaginary quadruple A game where they're going to have to, bend and tweak these rules just a little bit, just for certain games to be able to recoup some of those costs for these games because you're hitting that benchmark so high.
And
Ugh.
obviously, I didn't want to mention it, but there's also the growing amount of people that are just pirating games because the prices are way too high nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's a little easier with certain games like AKA like the Twitch and stuff like that though. But I
No,
mean
but like
it
it's
will be a little
possible on
it'll
everything
be a little
else.
harder. Well, I mean PC, it is possible. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And
Yeah.
even with PS5 and stuff, I hadn't seen anybody,
Well,
emulating a
no.
PS5 game or nothing like that
No, but
yet. But
if you have a PS5, you can download the file of the game directly onto your system, is what I mean.
oh, okay.
Like it's possible. They've done it with PS4.
But
Like
yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
not saying you should. I'm not condoning it. What I'm saying is that it's possible and that there are people that will see that as the option to choose. Did you see that Dragon's Dogma 2 that released $70 and it has microtransactions to hell and back that you don't even need to buy?
Yeah. I
That's
like how I
half of
literally
that
said
stuff is
quadruple
in the
A and
game.
mentioned that, and and Dragon Dogma 2 is like, hey, I'm right over here doing exactly what I just basically
And
brought up a
and
second
yeah,
ago.
and they literally you can buy a key for $1.50 that goes away after one use. A key that like opens an area and then just goes away. Like
Uh,
why?
uh,
It's shit. It's mobile game tier.
I don't know.
The
I don't
company, yeah,
like the taste of that. It's
it's
just,
desperately trying to recoup costs. There are games that are so much smaller that make people so much happier because they're fun. and they're colorful and they're unique. Basically, what I'm saying is Nintendo's gonna be the only one that survives the video game crash.
I mean, they are playing the long race with this one though. I would definitely say that because of the fact that because they're not pushing graphics, like that's not the the front runner in terms of all the horses they have up in this race invested in. Because obviously they prioritize the gameplay first, and then the graphics is kind of like a second hand marker right after that. So because of the fact they had their focus shifted a little bit more, then hey, they don't have to worry about these insane cost budgets on graphics yet because they're playing behind the game. When you're playing behind the ball, then hey, it can be a little bit cheaper by the time you finally make it up to there. Like when the Switch 2
Yeah,
finally drops, it's gonna be somewhere between like a PS4 and a PS4 Pro, just as
I
a
hope so.
random benchmark. So like
I
they're
hope it's
finally gonna
closer to
hit that
PS4
mark,
Pro.
and the competition's already done it earlier. So whenever they do manage to hit up to that, all these third party games that we had on the PS4 as well as like the Xbox One at the time, all of those are going to be easy ports to be brought over.
Yeah,
And then even with indie developers that have been making games for that platform, and they don't want to invest and spend all of this stuff with all the extra costs that could be brought up with a PS5. Hey, you can still do that same rhythm and dance that you've been doing for the PS4 generation, and then technically move down
well,
on over
yeah.
to the Switch too.
Well,
So
that's not even mentioning how Nintendo's not even competing with the other ones. Like, PlayStation and Xbox are competing. Nintendo's in their own ballpark.
yeah, they call
All
it like the blue
Nintendo,
ocean
yeah,
strategy,
all
essentially. Yeah.
Nintendo has to do is keep making games as they've always made them, and you know, things will follow suit. Hopefully, the Switch 2 launch is good. Hopefully, because here's the issue: Nintendo plays the long game, but sometimes they're too behind. Like with the Wii U. The Wii U is way too behind. The
And
Switch,
you keep bringing up the Wii U every single
because
episode,
it's
man. I'm just
true.
saying.
It's what we're talking about consoles, right? We're talking about like how a console could fail and about the industry. The Wii U is a big tell of what not to do when releasing a console.
Yeah. Oh, and I got a quick comment over here, Steven. I noticed from Lotus over here in the chat. He said,
Yes.
or he or she said, I don't mind optional microtransactions. I would just not pay $70 for a 30 FPS game. Now, there are people out there, Steven, that ain't like us, that sometimes they don't mind those microtransaction games. If I were to say, hey, give me a name of a company that you like a lot. Let's say some random company, Steven.
Uh, uh
Game company,
Capcom.
Capcom. All right, so imagine Capcom comes out with a game that you love. Do you like Mega Man?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine they come out with Mega Man X. What was the last X game? Was it 8 or 9?
8.
8. So imagine they come out with Mega Man X9 and say, hey, look, the only way how you're going to get an X9 in the future is with microtransactions, or it's not going to happen. Are you going to take it or no?
Well, so that's the issue. Microtransactions can mean anything. If it's
Well,
stupid, okay.
standard
If it's
microtransactions, nothing that's going to bust the
yeah,
game, but it's just there.
like just to get stuff early. You
Yeah,
mean?
something like that.
Like yeah, it's harmless, but at the same it doesn't need to be in, but if it means yeah, because here's the thing, Zard. I know that this is a hypothetical, but that would not be the only way the game would happen. Like,
Yeah.
but
But I
yes.
mean,
But
there are
yeah,
some games out there where, some companies they could make a profit off of something and, just get a million or 2 million sales on the thing. Some companies would be okay with that, like the lower third party companies, but not like your companies that are like your Square Enixes or typically your Capcoms or something like that, or maybe even Sega or something like that. When they put time into making a game, they want to make sure they get as many copies of that game sold, or if they had any extra microtransactions or whatever that's associated with the game, they want to make as much return off of a game as possible because not only are you putting money in, with the cost of these games, but you're actually putting time
yeah.
up in there as well. So money is time though. So for some companies out there, you know, some people will have to put microtransactions up in there just to make a lower tier game that probably would never see the light of day of a dead franchise or something like that for it to happen again. So those people out there that probably would be like Lotus that would say, "Hey, I don't mind it," but
Well,
everybody's gonna have their own little personal preferences and stuff.
okay. At least for me, I'm fine if it's just cosmetic. If it's, if it's a fancy piece of armor in your game, who cares? Makes if you want to buy it and make yourself look better, then you look better. My issue is when it's like stuff that actually affects the game, like Dragon's Dogma 2. Stuff that you can already earn in game being sold to you is I don't like that. But that's just oh, maybe that's just me. And the thing yeah, we paid he said we paid $20 for VIP fast travel in Forza Horizon 3 10 years ago. I have spent 1,000 dollars on cars in Gran Turismo 7. Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Like yeah,
Your response to that.
yeah,
You had him
I,
going.
I
Looked at
could
this
not.
like,
I could not. That's all I'll say.
no, I couldn't
I
either, but
respect it, but
you
I
know,
could not. But yeah, I think if a game, especially with $70, especially now that prices are increasing to $70, I feel like as consumers we are deserved better. Well, we deserve better products from these companies because recently it's just been a little on the down low. It's going down. Like they just release a game and then they either kill it immediately or just ruin it.
mhm.
Basically what I'm saying is I want more games like Spider-Man 2 where people from what I've heard people have had issues with Spider-Man 2's story, but that game looks from what I've seen looks like it just released complete. It was a complete experience that you play and you beat. And I think that's the best type of game they could release.
Yeah. So
And if we're
just
talking
kind of
about if we're talking about multiplayer, if a multiplayer game has microtransactions, fine, it's a multiplayer game, especially if it's a cheaper price. If you release a $30 game that you're supposed to play with friends, like for example a Monster Hunter game when it goes on sale for like $30, yeah, I don't mind paying $3 for an outfit or $2 for this music pack or whatever. I think
yeah,
like if you like the game, you're more willing to spend more money to have a different experience. I just don't like when these games immediately launch with that like hundreds of microtransactions. It feels like that's what I mean.
yeah. And I guess just to kind of bring things full circle with this though. Oh, I guess there was like one more thing I wanted to say though. But even with examples like Dragon's Dogma 2, like, we obviously saw those microtransactions at the start of this game. There was also microtransactions within games like Resident Evil 4. But I think it also kind of depends on what kind of game you're putting that stuff up in, because I don't remember, at least in my best of my knowledge, people were complaining about the microtransactions in Resident Evil 4 in comparison to Dragon's Dogma 2. I think,
Because
depending on your audience with whatever game you have to be making, that can also, influence
well,
how you rub people off.
yeah, RE4 is just like a single starter pack you can purchase that just gives you a couple items to help you at the beginning of the game. Just so you know,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Which it's completely optional and like it's not that much money. While microtransactions in Dragon's Dogma add up to like a decent amount. Like I said, $1.50 for a key.
Mm. Yeah. So at least to bring all of this full circle around, at least from what we've been seeing with the PS5, and allegedly for what could happen with this PS5 Pro, it's not like the PS4 where we had the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, and there was good reason to do the Pro at that point because we're transitioning from the standard flat screen TVs to 4K TVs. It's not necessarily the same thing with this. I feel like Sony's also just trying to put out this hardware right now just so that way they can have another stream of revenue coming in. Because mind you, we don't have another, ideally, a big major first party Sony game coming out within this next upcoming fiscal year. Like they literally said, like a game that you could expect the sequel to, like a God of War, or Horizon, like a Spider-Man or something like that, ain't happening. So I think this is just another way for them to basically, get some kind of revenue up in here. Is it necessarily needed? I would say no, but you
It
will
is not.
have your enthusiasts out there that will, bank in and just go ahead and buy this thing, even if it's $600 and stuff. Do I think the power has been tapped out on the PS5? Absolutely not. But when you do introduce this PS5 Pro, it is going to take away from some of the wow or pop factor that you could have with a future PS6 a handful of years down the road in the future, though. I will say
Yeah.
that, though. So,
What is
uh,
the PS6 gonna do? Because
if
PS4 to
it doesn't have
PS5 was
4K
not even
60,
that
man, I
noticeable.
don't know.
No,
That
like
needs
we're
to
I don't
be the
know.
new standard, and then at that point, I think we're
I don't
topped
know.
on graphics. You don't need no silly old 8K stuff, 'cause ain't
I don't know.
nobody got 8K TVs.
Well, to be fair, 120 FPS is actually noticeable. If 120 becomes the standard, then like yeah, that's actually different. It's noticeable. But like
Yeah.
anything above 120, no. Come on, stop there.
Now 120, at some point, you're gonna blink and not even notice a difference. Even with
And that
some of these
yeah,
remasters and remakes nowadays, when you compare them to the originals and stuff, like or especially with some of these Sony games, I look like, for example, like The Last of Us Part Two when they did the remake and they put it next to the remaster and
remaster.
stuff. I looked at that and I was like, wait, what the heck? Like I was looking,
Lotus says me even at $700, my TV is 8K. Yeah, no, 8K TVs are more accessible to get nowadays. It's just yeah, especially with like with prices of everything going up nowadays, it just sucks for consumers having
yeah,
to
I don't know.
everything's like, more expensive. And like I don't know, 8K is nice looking. It looks nice. I've seen
Have
an
you seen
8K
an 8K
TV in
TV,
person
Steven?
like once. I don't know. Some of my family has an 8K TV when I visited them in North Carolina. It's a very nice looking TV,
Can you
but
notice the
like
difference between the 8K and the 4K?
yeah, but it's not enough to make me like it's the happiness I get from that is nowhere comparable to the happiness I get when I like play a new Nintendo game and it looks a game can look beautiful without having like like the sharpest pixels imaginable.
Hmm.
I don't know, like Princess Peach Showtime is a very simple game, but it just looks really nice. It just looks polished. It doesn't need like 8K 120 FPS to look good. But like for Sony games, there are a lot of Sony games that benefit from it. For example, Spider-Man 2, that game probably looks beautiful if you play it in 8K, which I'm pretty sure it does support, from what I remember
Dude,
hearing.
I don't even
I
wanna
think it's
know what the PC specs on that to even
I don't
run
know.
that mess, like, I
I
don't even wanna know. They'll
a
fry
lot.
anything I got in this house.
No, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's obvious. I think 8K 120 FPS is where you stop. And the PS5 Pro just cements the fact that the PS5 itself had no legacy is going to have no legacy. Like
Yeah.
what actually released on PS5 that people care about besides honestly the most recent one is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Zard.
Yep, that
That's the
is the
only
most recent one.
because 7 Remake was on PS4. People primarily remember that as a PS4 game.
Yeah. Or at least, most people will until, like, you got the people that wanted to play the integrated with the Yuffie DLC, then you had to have the PS5 version for that, but, yeah,
And then
originally,
they
people will
released it on PC.
remember it started off on the PS4, and more than
Yeah.
likely, when we're done with this trilogy, it'll end on the PS. I think it'll probably be, like, one of the last few games on the PS5
Yeah.
when we get
Like
that
the
3rd
PS
game.
Like the PS5, I must admit, the PS5 is a nice console. It is powerful. It is in my opinion, it is a good deal for what you receive. For 500 bucks, you get an extremely powerful console that can play most of your multiplats just fine. I just don't think it's all that remarkable besides that. Like
Yeah.
especially it just feels like the Xbox but with a reskin. And at that point, the Xbox at least respects my ability to like actually think where like, it actually thought, "Oh, you know what? People actually like their classic games." Yeah. Backwards compatibility for a lot of 360 games and even original Xbox games. While the PS5 with its $500 price tag can't even consider allowing for like backwards compatibility for like PS3 or anything. No, you gotta
Oh,
play those
shoot,
games
hold
on
on, this
cloud.
is this is another little mini tangent before we have to wrap up this PlayStation stuff.
Yeah.
Why the heck do you have on PlayStation Premium, there's 3 different tiers. You got the essential, extra, and the premium tiers. Why do we still not have native PS2 games up on that mess, bro? Like, they give us
It's
PSP games,
stupid.
and then even with the PS2 games they do give us, they're basically PS4
Yeah.
remaster games.
Like
I don't know what
I'd
they're
have
thinking over here.
I would have no problem with the PS5 Pro if PlayStation proved that they actually care about their legacy, but they don't. Like in order to play PS3 games natively, you need to buy a PS3. I think that's stupid. like, I don't know. I think the
Yeah,
fact
they
that
need to solve that PS3 mess though too, because I heard some good games about some, games on the PS3 that I would love to
yes,
try
yeah,
out, but like streaming and stuff, I was like, man, I got the thing hooked up to
no,
the internet itself, and even then, I was like messing around with one of the
it
Ratchet and Clank
sucks.
games on PS3, and it still wasn't clicking. I was like, bruh,
Yeah, I could never play cloud games. It just doesn't feel right. No, but to end the PS5 Pro discussion, like yeah, obviously you can reach you can reach further heights with the console's power, but I really hope they just go for something new in any other category. What if they actually try to pull like a Nintendo type of gimmick? What if they try to put a gimmick into their console that persists into its games? Kind of like how the DualSense had the haptic feedback controllers. Give
that's the
us
one thing. That's the one thing I really do like about the PS5. Like they took the HD rumble that the Switch was doing and took it a whole nother level with those triggers and stuff like that. I love that.
yeah.
So more things
That's
like that.
yeah, more things like that. Exactly. I would love that. Like Switch has HD Rumble and I'm pretty sure other systems still don't have that. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
And I guess we're about to wrap up this one segment of the show right here, though. But I just want to point out a few things Lotus said. So, like the average gamer does not need it, though. Absolutely, 100% agree with the PS5 Pro. I would say, if you're looking at this, if you have a PS5, I say don't upgrade unless you're just a diehard pony. But for those that don't have a PS5, it could be interesting for them to actually, go through and pick it up after the fact because I don't know. There's going to be probably some people out there that are going to look at the next GTA 6 and be like, "Oh, this might be the best way to play GTA 6." You're going to have a few people out there though,
Well,
and
yeah,
stuff
like
like
of course.
that.
Well, yes, of course. GTA 6 probably will be the first example of a true next gen game. That might be controversial when I'm saying it.
Yeah,
GTA 6 is like the cornerstone of what it means to push the medium, I'd say. GTA 5 was kind of like that for the PS4, Xbox One generation, even though it also released on last gen that generation, but still. Like
yeah.
it was pushing the PS3 and Xbox 360 to their limits, I bet.
Yeah, and then one more thing Lotus said is he hopes that there's a new Astrobot game that comes out on the Pro.
Yes.
I mean, cross your fingers on that
Yes.
one, but I don't think that's gonna happen. That's just my gut feeling. I mean,
No, no,
obviously,
no.
whatever Astrobot game they could come up with, it could easily work with the baseline vanilla PS5
Well,
though.
of
I
course
would
it
love to
can,
see
but like,
another Astro I can't even talk. Astrobot game. It's like I heard good things even about that one that was on the original PlayStation VR that would, work with the PS4. I heard good things about that, but they ain't even brought that mess over to PS5. I mean, or even to their new headset that they got right now. So I mean, I mean, it'll be nice
yeah,
if they did that. It'll be a nice welcome surprise. I won't put
uh,
it past them on that, but
yeah.
we'll see.
So all I could say is that I heavily agree with Lotus here. New Astrobot game, please.
Hmm.
Because Astro's Playroom, which is included with everybody's PS5, is great. I fucking love that game. In my opinion, hottest take of the year, folks. It's the best PS5 game. It is the best
Oh
PS5
heck! Oh
exclusive.
heck!
It honors
Heck
it.
no, Steven.
Yes, it.
Heck
Yes,
no.
it
We
honors.
got the new debate for
No,
next week. Not
it
this
is.
week's. Next week.
It
Next
is
week.
a
That's what's
game.
probably gonna happen.
And not only is it a game that truly honors PlayStation's legacy in every single way and strives to move forward, but also, it uses the PS5 to its maximum capability with the DualSense, and even graphics-wise, it's a very nice, polished-looking experience. Even though it still has its own art style, you can have an art style and still make it realistic. You can have an extremely polished art style. That's kind of like what Final Fantasy does too. The characters in Final Fantasy aren't real human looking people. Look at Cloud's hair. Like every game has an art style. I don't know, but like Astrobot especially, beautiful game. And it also plays really nice too. I have platinumed that. I know it's only like a 5-hour experience, but still, I don't go platinuming games a lot on PlayStation.
Alrighty. Well, I think we talked about the PS5 Pro long enough, and I guess we kind of gave beef with everything how we're kind of feeling about the PS5 right now. You bring up a
Next
hot
gen
topic
is
like that,
well, yeah,
start spitballing.
that's like the next 5 years of PlayStation right there. People will be thinking of the PS5 Pro the first moment you say PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay, Lotus said Astrobot number 1, Gran Turismo number 2, Death Stranding number 3. I haven't played Death Stranding, and I have played a little bit of Gran Turismo 7. That game is pretty fun.
I hadn't
Uh,
played Gran Turismo, but after watching that movie, I may
it
get it
is
at some point.
Yeah, I have 7. It is a very beautiful game. It is like it is like that game. Here's the thing. I know I had my whole spiel earlier about realism in games, but those games were meant to
No,
be
racing
realistic.
games, no,
They
that
always have.
between that and Forza,
But
like,
yeah.
no, that's
But
the
yeah.
best aspect about,
Well,
racing
yeah,
games.
those games are meant to be realistic and like they're still fun. That's the thing. They're still really fun games, but they also manage to be realistic. I play it with like this wheel I bought, and it's fun.
Hmm.
But yeah, basically, PlayStation, make games for once. Make exclusives, please.
Yeah, so
That's
I
the
don't know. We know
only way
Wolverine's coming out next year, but
I.
I'm curious about what else. Like, freaking
Yeah.
give me my Ghost of Tsushima 2,
Oh wait.
man. I've been begging y'all to make that mess, and I know it's cooking over there in the kitchen. It's about time we get this mess. But oh shoot,
Important questions are: did the PS4 Pro have any exclusive games?
no, it's not like the new
It was
Nintendo
just
3DS
boosted
where you had
power.
like a Xenoblade Chronicles 3D that could do it. It's all about the power and the graphics of what games you're currently playing, at least to my knowledge.
Okay. Lotus. Last thing I'll say about PS5 Pro. Lotus says Gran Turismo 7 is 4K 120 on PSVR 2. Yeah,
Oh
that's
no, I heard
crazy.
good things about, like, if you were gonna get a VR2, that well, most people will probably pick up Horizon because the
I
fact is
heard.
it's a PlayStation game. But no,
Yeah.
Gran Turismo is like that one to definitely pick up. Mm.
Sadly, I did hear that the PSVR 2 bombed like hard. Like
Oh yeah.
they stopped making it because they have so much unshipped stock.
No, yeah, I heard about that too. No, yeah, it that's a whole nother discussion for another day though, because I like
Yeah,
I
but
like to talk about it, but man, that
but
device ain't doing too hot.
yeah, of course it looks nice, but like it was like I'm pretty sure it was the price of the console.
Yeah. All
No,
right.
but yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna basically do it in terms of the PS5 Pro thoughts, and I guess our overall thoughts on the state of PlayStation right here. That's what I'm dubbing it, the state of PlayStation. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and transition over to our next segment, that being our debate topic. I don't have a snazzy intro transition little thingy though, but here we go. All right, Steven. Now, before we talk about the new topic that we have to discuss for this week's, we got to bring up the results from last week. So let me pull that up here real quick, though, because to my none or to my shock and no surprise, I don't think these results are too telling. I would say not badly enough, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, the votes are in. Coming in at 36% was my oh wait, no, I need to say first. So last week we had a debate on what was the better 3D Mario game, or what is the best 3D Mario game. And me and Steven brought two things up to the plate. So I was talking about Super Mario 64 and why it was so good, while Steven was talking about Mario Galaxy. So the votes are in. At 36%, we had Super Mario 64. And at 64%, we had Mario Galaxy. And to that, I must say this. Like, come on, y'all. Like,
You know it
really?
to be
Y'all
true,
gonna put
Zard.
Mario 64 down under Mario Galaxy? I respect your debate, Steven. Mario Galaxy
The
is a
people
fine game,
have
but
spoken.
no, these people are. I
The
can't say.
people
I
that
can't
watch your
say. I can't
channel.
say.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
say.
exactly. That's what I thought.
No, no.
Guess.
No, I think
Listen,
you probably brought some people
I
over. I'm
can't.
keeping it a buck 50,
Yeah,
Steven.
okay.
Did you vote in this poll? Because we said we
I
weren't
didn't.
supposed to. Okay,
I didn't vote.
mm, mm,
I pressed the button to check how many people voted, and then I immediately unvoted. So yeah, I didn't vote.
okay, all right, all right.
I seen the other day that like Mario Galaxy was winning, but I swore like I thought Mario 64 would win because even as I
It was
said that day,
50-50 until I think like
Irish,
5 or 6
like
days ago. Then
yeah,
it's in your favor by like a few
like
votes. I was like, gosh dang it.
yeah, Like, I respect Mario 64 immensely, but I think Galaxy is just a much better
And
experience
I don't want to hear
overall.
you talk about my bro over there 64 ever again
Well,
after hearing
we can,
dog.
you know, after the dust has settled, we can both agree that Mario games are good. There you go.
Okay. All right. All righty. Well, that is the results from last week, and bringing the topic for this week is going to be us debating on what is the best Legend of Zelda game. Now, we're not going to be talking about any spin-offs or, offshoots or anything like that. So that throws out your Hyrule Warriors, like Age of Calamity, all that stuff, or even weird things like Cadence of Hyrule, spin-offs aside. These are mainline 2D or 3D games. So we're going to be going through and discussing that. Last time when we did this segment, we didn't have no rules and we just kind of rambled on a little too long. Now we got a little bit of a structure for this thing, though. So I got some rules here, Steven. So it's going to be 4 minutes of us bringing whatever idea we want to the forefront and talking for 4 minutes. 3 minutes, the opposite person gets the rebuttal. And then 3 minutes after that, then the original person gets a response. And then we flip the roles over for the next game we want to talk about, though. So that's the new format. You can see the rules in the Discord chat right there. Let me get my timer over here so that way you can't ramble on too much right now,
All
though.
right, get the timer. Just follow it yourself as well.
Bro, I'm gonna follow it. I was worried about you for the most part, though.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I got my timer set for 4 minutes though. Last time I went for first, so this time I'm gonna let you go first. And gosh, by golly, you better not pick mine. I don't think you're gonna pick it, but I hope you don't. All right,
Well,
so
I
uh,
was kind of stuck. I was kind of stuck between two games. Can you at least give me a hint about yours? Because I don't want to choose the same one.
no, I don't think you're gonna choose it. I don't think you are. Knowing you, I don't think you are. So go ahead and say what game it is.
I've been thinking about this between these two games for a while, but I think the one I'm gonna pick because I haven't played the other one in a while. I'm going to go with my favorite Zelda game being A Link to the Past.
Okay, okay. All right, we're good. We're good. I'm curious, what was
Okay,
that second one you were gonna say?
Wind Waker.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna choose
So
that
I
one. All right.
okay, but yeah, but listen, yeah, I have tons to talk about for both of these.
All right. Wait,
Link
I
to the
get the
Past.
oh wait, hold on.
Sorry.
I gotta count you down. All right, here we go in three, two, one, go.
Okay, so Link to the Past is my darling virtual console game I always played on my Wii. This is one of my childhood games, and I'm so glad that as a kid I actually played classic games because this game is so goddamn good. Everything about this game is, in my opinion, incredible. It was the foundation for what came after it, and also the evolution of what came before it. It was a perfect evolution of the original Legend of Zelda. It didn't really have to explain anything at all. It perfectly guides you through the experience, but not too crazily. Like they tell you what you need to do. They give you a nice a map that actually works pretty well. It's like it's a very like interesting layout of the map where like it's not like fully zoomed in, but it gives you all of the info you need and shows you all the environments. And sometimes I think it even puts markers on it if I remember correctly. Um, the music is another thing. I'm just gonna go through a bunch of stuff real fast. The music is incredible in that game. A bunch of iconic tunes. The sound font is very recognizable. I like it a lot. Um, a lot of the items in that game are really fun as well. Those staffs that like let you the staff. I forget the names of them, but those staffs you get are really fun to use. The secret, the empty bottles are in really well hidden locations. It feels really satisfying when you pick up new pieces of heart or new heart containers. It feels like you're constantly getting more powerful throughout the adventure. Tons of secrets hidden everywhere, and not bullshit. It's not like bullshit secrets like Legend of Zelda 1. It's actual secrets that you might find just by messing around. Like you don't need to look up a guide for all of these, and it's fun. Cause like I feel like I could spend the whole day playing this game and maybe I'll find everything just if I look hard enough, instead of like the impossible bullshit of Zelda 1. I love all of the boss fights in this game. They're all pretty like there's designed very well in the arena, makes it very interesting on how you beat them. There's some bosses that you can just like knock off. Some bosses have their own weaknesses. The dark world is a whole nother aspect of this game that makes it infinitely more interesting. The fact that you have this second world that's slightly different that you can traverse. Back for the Super Nintendo, it was insane. It was such a fun concept, I'd have to assume, for people playing back then. But for me, I kind of had a bit of familiarity with it, but it was still really fun to use. Uh, the Dark World theme by itself, the music is good enough to make it fun to explore, and everything involving the ending of that game and like the last scene with the Triforce, it is my perfect rendition of what I imagine a Zelda game to be. And not even mentioning like the dungeon structure. The dungeons themselves are very nicely designed. Everything you expect from a Zelda game is there. And some people may call it a little basic, but I think that's the best part about it, is that it feels like the most regular Zelda game. Like it is the foundation of what's to come, and I think it needs to be heavily respected just for that. Like people love Ocarina of Time, and I also love Ocarina of Time, but it heavily was inspired by how this game was built up. Last thing I'll say is that I really like how things you do in the dark world can sometimes affect what happens in the light world, and like vice versa. There's a lot of interesting stuff with how the world changes. Ocarina of Time, borrowed this with the whole time travel aspect. But I think Link to the Past does it a little bit better, personally. Um, I love this game. There you go. I'll end it. I'll end it there.
Yeah, good timing. You had 3 seconds left before I paused it. Oh my goodness. All right. That was a pretty good thing, but I got something to say. I got something to say to you, Steven, because
Objection!
Jesus,
all right, so
that's
this is
loud.
what you didn't
Oh my
mention about
God,
this. You didn't mention about a few things here, and I'm gonna roll with this pursuit thing right here. To oh wait, oh shoot, dang it, I didn't set
the
my timer.
soundboard was really loud. I'm muting that. Sorry.
Forgot to set my timer. All right, let's roll this thing again. All right, one more time. All right, so my timer
Okay.
starts now. All right, Steven. So let me lay it down to you straight right here. You said that this is one of your most favorite Zelda games ever, right? Well, I will
Yes.
say about this though. Well, yes, this game is good in its own right, though. It ain't no Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I'll say that right there, though. At least when you're going through and playing through this game, the main things that I would have as an issue with this one game is the fact that oftentimes I figure I will go, yeah, really cool, interesting start with the whole rainy atmosphere, thunder. You try to save the princess and stuff. The princess get kidnapped, all of that stuff, though. Like you had a good start right there, though. And then after the fact, you got to go through like these four different realms and stuff, though. But oftentimes I feel like you might get a little detoured along the way. You might get a little bit sidetracked. I know that you're supposed to do a lot. Like once you're in the dungeons themselves, I think that's all right. Like you got some cool elements up in there and stuff like that, though. But I do feel like it is for I would say definitely for more modern gamers because people don't you got the audience of people that grew up with it and you got people that are more modern right now. I don't think you can show this to a modern day kid that's like a 10-year-old kid right now and say, beat Link to the Past without having a stinking guide up on there. I think people are just going to get naturally lost over here. I think it was a great game for its time, though, but I don't know if it necessarily might have, aged or seasoned the best. Yes, for people that happen to know and love it and grow up with it, though. But I don't think so. It's not like a game like Link's Awakening, which actually did manage to get a remake, where I felt like, there was a lot of cool things that was up within that game. Like that game is a classic right there. You can't touch that mess though. At least with Links to the Past, it's cool though, but I just don't think it kind of holds up to that same stature or pedigree. Like you mentioned how there's a lot of cool elements that Ocarina of Time um pulled from this game. However, I will say this Ocarina of Time still managed to have its own stinking identity up in this thing though. But I can't say not one outside of the first 3 minutes of the game. I can't say there's nothing extremely iconic about that game outside of the first 3 minutes. I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you, Steven. That's just kind of how I currently feel about this game though. It's cool. I don't think it's all that in a bag of chips, Steven. I know I have a little bit of time left though. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay. So I'll start with this. people that need to use a guide to beat this game are fucking weak, okay? This game is not that hard and it's not that confusing. Like you just, there are some NPCs to talk to get into certain places like some of the dungeons. I understand it can be a little difficult, but not every single game is supposed to be easy. This game for, when it came out, for the length it was at, it perfectly holds up today. And yeah, you said it might be for more modern gamers, but I don't see it. I do not see it. I feel like modern gamers would have a harder time because they have to like read and think, and they can't just have an NPC tell them exactly where they need to go with 500 different markers and barrels with fucking yellow paint on them. You can't just follow the yellow paint, okay? But yeah, no, besides that, like I think this game actually respects your intelligence with the gameplay and, leaves things for you to find. I'd say it's the most similar to Breath of the Wild in that aspect where yeah, there's places you need to go, but there's so many places you can just go and get sidetracked. It feels like an adventure. It feels like you're going out and having an adventure. But yeah, besides that, the other thing you were saying, fuck, I'm sorry. Damn it. I'm drawing a blank. I know time's running down. I was just gonna say the other thing involving the iconic, like the iconic elements. What this game lacks in iconic characters, because yes, I can admit it doesn't have nearly as many iconic characters as the games that follow it. What it lacks in iconic characters, it makes up for in engaging gameplay. I think the gameplay in this game is really good. It's really polished. For example, Ocarina of Time. I love the game, but it lags way too much, and it still does have some of that early 3D jank. While this game, it feels, besides the occasional lag, it feels super smooth all the time, and it feels perfectly polished. Like, I've hardly ever run into a glitch with this game, or any oddity. I always have a very nice time playing it. It feels perfectly balanced. It feels like like the Ruby. In earlier Zelda games, rubies hardly spawned for me. It always felt way too like bullshit in like Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, especially Zelda 2. This game, of course, I could admit I have nostalgia for it. I have way too much nostalgia for this game, but it holds a special place in my heart for one of the most finely tuned and crafted Zelda games of its time, and an inspiration for literally every single Zelda game that comes after this. You know, it started a lot of stuff that you see in Ocarina of Time, and of course, Ocarina of Time had more insight, or I guess they had more hindsight to improve on the things that Link to the Past came upon, but you would not have Ocarina of Time without Link to the Past. And as you stated multiple times in your Mario 64, in your Mario
I'm out.
64 debate, can I at least finish that sentence?
Sentence.
All right, like you
Better not
said
be a
in your
run
Mario
on sentence.
64 debate, like the status that a game holds in the gaming industry, what it achieved in the gaming industry, deserves to be mentioned. You mentioned that a lot with that game.
All right, that's it. All right. All right. Uh, You have some interesting points. You have some interesting points. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. That was pretty good. All right, let me reset this timer for the new one though. All right, so Steven, solid debate right there. Trying to
I
hold up
tried.
Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. All right, now it's time for a new kid on the block over here though. So
Okay.
for my game that I say that I think is the best Legend of Zelda game, in my own personal opinion. And for the diehardists out there, they would technically agree with me too. It's not a pick that y'all might have been expecting. I was going back and forth between a couple of different games.
Oh, I think
At
I know
one
what
point,
this
I was
is.
almost considering Majora's Mask, but that's not the pick. However, and it's probably one that caught you off guard too, Steven. I'm
I
talking
think I
about
know
none
it.
other than the, the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, hear me out on this one. So, obviously, at the time when the game originally came out, it came out on the Wii, right? A lot of people were expecting big bombastic games such as like, Twilight Princess and stuff. And then, with this being the next iteration within the 3D Zelda, you got a spectacular, beautiful looking game, should I say, out of Skyward Sword though. Now I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up to the forefront. That way I don't get hit within rebuttal though. Some people couldn't necessarily grasp the concept of motion games. I would say to this, they just suck and they need to get better. I'm just saying that my 10, 12-year-old self managed to go through this game and beat it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. This game is freaking phenomenal. In comparison to other games that we managed to get later on in the series, such as like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, while yes, those games had some terrific gameplay and stuff, there's a lot of things that people love within the original 3D Zelda games, such as dungeons and stuff. You have plenty of dungeons and stuff that operate like that. The fact you have a linear story, the story I would say is better within Skyward Sword in comparison to, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Then I even mentioned about soundtracks. Like if you talk about Faron Woods, the theme for Faron Woods, or the theme for the volcano area, or the Lanru Desert, and stuff like that, you can at least hear some Skyward Sword music and say that is the game it's from. But if you mention a game like Breath of the Wild, unless you're just talking about somebody clanking on the keys and stuff, or like playing some piano music, I mean, the most iconic thing out of that might have been the Guardian theme or something like that. You can't really pull anything monumental, at least within Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, outside of some spectacular trailers themselves. Those trailers themselves had some really good stuff, though. But at least when you're going through and playing through Skyward Sword, it had such a great storytelling aspect. You going through the world and playing as Link, going through and you actually saw Zelda. While yes, we hadn't seen Zelda as a playable character in the series yet, outside of spin-offs and stuff, this is probably the most involvement that Zelda has ever had in the given series, though. Like, look at Zelda and Twilight Princess. What the heck did she do up in that game, though? Like, you turn around and I would say, dare even say this too, even with a link to the past. What the heck did she do up in that game? But at least in Skyward Sword, with this being at the very beginning of the timeline, should I add, she was a very strong inspirational character that had direct ties into the story itself, going around and activating all these different fountains and stuff. I mean, you saw the creation and the forge of the Master Sword itself. Some really iconic weapons and concepts and stuff we know throughout the whole entire Legend of Zelda series in this one singular game. Like, I can't just say how great that they had in terms of this direction for this game and what they managed to put up in this thing, be able to just to deliver a phenomenal experience, one that people were just lacking at the time of release. But looking back at it and where we're currently at right now, those OGs, those diehard Legend of Zelda fans are probably looking at this game like, gosh, dang, I didn't know what I was missing until it's gone. There's a reason why that's the saying where it's like, hey, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. I'm just saying right there, though. So overall, I would say The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is a phenomenal game, a game that might be a little bit underrated at times, though, but nobody disregards the story for this game. I don't care who you are. And even the people that have problem with motion controls, guess what? There's a HD version out for the Nintendo Switch right now. So even if you couldn't adapt and play with those motion controls at the time, you got a way how you can play with buttons and stuff. So there's no excuse what you can have to say about this game right now, why this isn't technically the better Legend of Zelda game for the sake of this argument in comparison over to Link to the Past. Because why the heck do you want to open up a crusty Super Nintendo game when you can play this on the Wii or even the Nintendo Switch? I have 3 seconds left and I'm going to end it right there.
Okay. Before I start my rebuttal, I must say that I completely agree with you about the music. It slaps. It's fantastic. So I'm not even gonna attempt to criticize the music of Skyward Sword.
All
These
right.
games both have great music. All right.
All right,
So
go
I will
ahead.
start. So I will start with this. You want to talk about crust? Like, yeah, the SNES game, you may call it crust, but it's very finely crafted pixel art. This game, as shown on Nintendo Switch, could look better. And it did on Nintendo Switch. If we're talking about the Wii version, that shit's crusty as hell. The textures are sometimes way too, like, low, the pixel, you could see the pixels on the textures, the filter on the game, like, it just really looks kind of fuzzy half the time. Like, I know they were going for a bit of an art style with like was it like a hand, they were going for like hand painted aesthetic for some of the textures and all that. I just think it was poorly done and a little too ahead of its time. It should have been done on something like the Nintendo Switch, which, it got remastered, but I think the game deserves a remake most more than other Zelda games. Because another issue I have with this game is the gameplay. I think it's a little too stilted for my liking. I think that the items that you get from dungeons are a little boring. Uh, I don't really like the stamina system. I feel like it's just a problem that we made up they just a problem they just made up for solution for puzzles that, it doesn't really feel like it was needed. It feels like you could have thought of something else. It feels like in Pokemon games when you get the goddamn running shoes. Like, who cares about that anymore? It doesn't matter. Um, Another issue I have is the bosses. They are way too easy, and they're not interesting at all. I think the weak spots always show up. There's like two bosses I really like. One of them being the final boss, and the Girahim fights are they're okay, but like it could be better in my opinion. Like whatever that last one is also good with him. The environments, of course, they look pretty nice for the most part, but like I don't know, man. Something about the way the areas are designed that's just less interesting. It feels like less of an open adventure. Like I know the game is more linear, but it really kind of goes against what I think of as a Zelda game. Of course, that's what the sky is for, but the sky being separated into all these small islands also just makes it feel so much more small than it actually is. The actual gliding through the sky as well is a little annoying, but that's just my personal taste. I'm going to end it like in a second, but only other thing I'll say is that gameplay wise, I just think it flows a lot slower. The Switch version made really good strides of making the cutscenes less slow though. The Switch version's much faster and gets rid of all of the the hint stuff, like all the fee being annoying and all that. It certainly helps, but it doesn't change my view of the game as just taking way too long to get to the same story beats as other Zelda games.
All right, you
By the
ended
way,
that. Oh
the
no, that's
story is
time
good.
right there.
I was just saying the story's good. Like I'm like agreeing with you on that one thing. I'm not rebutting. Like
Oh, okay.
the story and characters of Skyward Sword are amazing. I just have to agree with you because it feels wrong to lie.
It was on the ride. Hey, you heard it from him, man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let me see here. Let me set up this last little timer I got right here. Wait, what the heck? There we go. All right, so let me set up the timer right here and get the last little bit right here. All right, here we go. All right, so I got my list of stuff right here, and I'm flapping my paper in case y'all can't hear it though. You mentioned about some things about textures for the Wii. I'll say this. You might say that the textures for the Wii is a little bit choppy though, but I dare say this: pull up some any other crusty looking Wii games over there. I'm telling you, with that art style direction, there's a reason why it looks really good even on the Switch right now. The art style still holds that mess up, and gosh by golly, even when you compare the Switch version to the HD version on the Nintendo Switch, hey, you had that sensor bar up there. You don't have no disconnects and stuff like that. If your choice happens to be you want to play with motion controls on the Switch, still say the Wii version still holds up a little bit better from that angle play. You say stuff about the gameplay being a little bit stiff or something like that, like you didn't necessarily vibe with it. Bro, you can't tell me back then when you're playing the Wii version, you thought you hold up that Wii Remote Plus. Yes, the Wii Remote Plus, and hold that thing up and moving that sword around with your right hand and mashing it up with Link's movements and stuff as you're hacking and slashing on these enemies. Just saying, that does look freaking cool at the time. I still think that is when you go back and look at that trailer though. So I don't know. I really like that. It did kind of open up for some unique fights versus just spamming the button over and over and over. Maybe learning some boss patterns and stuff like that. But that's all I got to say on that. You say you don't like the stamina wheel, and at times I can see why you might say that though. But if the stamina wheel wasn't that good, then why the heck we got the stamina wheel back within Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? I'm just saying right there though. And then you mentioned about the boss fights. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you mentioned how you love the Girahim fight, you love the final boss fight that you do for Skyward Sword. Both are freaking phenomenal fights, though. However, I would say each one of these bosses in this game definitely did feel unique. Fighting the one that you did in the volcano area, the desert area, and even in the Faron Woods, each boss and even the mini bosses you do in between definitely had unique approaches to you doing it. Because not all of them are just, fighting with a sword and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to throw a little bit of bomb, throw or even roll a couple of bombs right there. Some you have to shoot with an arrow. So it's not just, waving around the Wii remote and hacking and slashing like that. And you can't just randomly do it though, too. It takes strategy. Like sometimes you had to hit a horizontal, a vertical, or even have the charged up shot as well, though. So, I mean, you brought up some really good, interesting points, though, but I just don't think they hold up in the grand scheme of things right here. I'm still flapping my paper in case y'all can't hear it, though. But overall, I will still say, Skyward Sword is still a great and phenomenal game, despite everything you brought up to it. And I'm surprised you didn't mention about other things. I will not even mention it for the sake of my argument right now, though. So, my point still holds up. If you hadn't played Skyward Sword, whether it be on the Wii or the Nintendo Switch, it's there for your viewing pleasure in glorious HD for you to be able to use your motion controls or your button and stick controls, be able to play a phenomenal Legend of Zelda game. That's it. Man, I ended that right on the dot on zero. Man, Steven, I am good.
Nice. I was gonna say I must clarify something I think you misunderstood. When I was talking about the stiff controls, I did not mean the motion controls. I think the motion controls are way too overhated for that game. They're fine.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I meant like moving around and rolling especially and like just jumping off cliffs. It all just feels wrong, but yeah, you know what I meant now.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I never had a problem with that, but I get what you're talking about. Huh.
Yeah, no, but yeah, Skyward Sword, like it does have Groose, and like some people they would
I
end it
didn't even
there.
mention that too. Gosh dang it.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I must admit, I was gonna say I was gonna say I know when I'm beat, but no. A Link to the Past.
I,
Link to the
hey,
Past.
you thought it. You thought it. That's
Link to
all
the
I
Past
got to
is good.
say.
Link to the Past is good. It is.
Oh,
It
goodness.
is. It is the one that will stand the test of time way longer than Skyward Sword, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
I don't know. Alrighty. Well, I'm going through here and tweaking the poll real quick. I think I about almost have it where I can drop the thing in the link. All right, let's see it. Yeah, so it's ours. So in one pick, you had me going for Skyward Sword, and in the other pick, you got a Link to the Past from Steven. I don't think this is a bad debate. I think we both had some pretty good, solid arguments, at least up on this one, though. But I ain't gonna dissuade you, Stephen. You had a decent debate right there, though. But I just dropped a link over there in the chat for those watching live right now, so you'll be able to actually check out the link and your vote in the poll. That basically takes you to the community page on my YouTube channel, where you're actually able to choose one pick or the other. Though I'll leave it also within the show link notes if you happen to be watching this on the audio version. If you happen to be watching this on a place like Apple Music or Spotify or something like that. And yeah, you can see down in the show notes down below, you'll see a link that will take you to the poll on YouTube and you can vote right there though. So honestly, really good picks between Link to the Past and Skyward Sword. Well, we all know Skyward Sword's the best, so that is the vote right there. All right, pretty fun little debate right there. So we'll be back at it again next week with a new poll and the winner for this one right here though. So pretty good debate, Stephen. Pretty good debate. All right, well that's gonna basically do it for that segment of the show. Now we're gonna switch it on over into the next segment, that being what you've been playing. All right, Steven. Well, I think lately I've been playing a few good games, at least along the way, though. But how about you? What you been playing lately?
So recently, I have been playing. A new update for Pizza Tower came out, which added a new playable character. That game only had one playable character, and the only way to describe it in a actual like way that you'd understand Zard is imagine it as like playing as like Tails in a Sonic game, where like the level design of the game is all entirely the same, but you have a new move set to work with, and it makes it you approach the same problems in different ways. Like, I can't say much because you haven't played Pizza Tower, but basically, all you need to know about the game is that it's a very fast-paced 2D platformer with a lot of comedic bits. And the comedic bits, when you're playing as this new character, are turned up to 11. There's a lot of really funny stuff that happens when you're playing as this alternate character that does not happen on your first playthrough of the game. It's almost like a new game plus, where it changes just enough to make it interesting, but not enough to where you're unfamiliar.
Wait. When did they drop this?
They dropped it like a week or two ago. They kind of
Oh,
dropped.
okay.
Here's the thing: the creator of Pizza Tower randomly dropped it after a stream of a modded game of Doom 2. He was playing Doom 2 modded, and he said that if he like achieved a certain thing in the game, he would release the update, shadow drop it, and then he did. He shadow dropped the update live.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've been playing it. And then the thing is, it's supposed to be a secret, but I'll reveal it. Once you beat the campaign as the second character, you can go back in game and if you do a secret, if you like activate a secret, you unlock a two-player mode.
Oh, okay.
And then me and Yoshi have actually been playing that on Steam Remote Play. We've been trying it because Steam supports that now for the game.
Hmm.
And this you'll understand a bit more. You know how Donkey Kong Country does its co-op? It's like that, where like
Oh,
you're
okay,
like
okay.
imagine like your second character, your Diddy Kong, is following you the entire time. But like once you get hit, you swap to the other character, and then and then you the second player continues.
Yeah,
Except
that's
the
not bad.
only difference is that you don't got to get a DK barrel to get Donkey Kong back. The second character just comes back after a couple seconds. You don't die in that game,
Hmm.
but it leads to a lot of funny moments where you'll get hit and then you'll get hit again, and you'll just constantly be swapping characters. Or other moments where, uh, you know how like Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, they have like the run they do together that's faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, with two players in Pizza Tower, you could like if both of you hold the dash button at the same time, it causes a super fast run to happen, but like it causes you to bounce off of a bunch of walls, so you got to be careful and time it like at the right time so you don't bounce off the wrong wall. There's a lot of it's like team attacks basically kinda. You could grab the other player and kill them to take the lead. Like, like let's just say the other character has the like is in control. Player one's in control. Player two can just grab them and kill them and take control
Huh.
whenever they want. And then the last thing is that it has a Super Mario 3D World-esque scoring system where whoever scores the most during the level, it shows at the end a little screen like,
Oh, so that's where
like
you
this
hold your
character won.
bragging rights over the other
Yeah,
person. Okay.
and it's fun, especially for the speedrunning aspect. That game was already a very nice speedrun game. Playing it with two people and like swapping on the fly is very fun. So that's like the main thing I've been playing. Another game I've been playing is Helldivers 2 occasionally. That game, as I've talked about before, is very fun, a very realistic. Well, I'd say realistic. It's a very realistic looking game, but it's as cartoony as any other game, honestly.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
really funny. There's a lot of stupid stuff that happens in that game. It makes me laugh every time I play it, but it's also just a really well crafted and polished third person shooter. Co-op only. It's only player versus enemy. There's no PvP. It's fun. One game I have to get back to, but I did start, was Penny's Big Breakaway. Like I started it and never got back to it, and that's the game that's by the creators of Sonic Mania, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely on my list of games I gotta play. I don't
Surprised
know
you
what
hadn't prioritized that a bit more.
I know. I don't know what compelled me to do this, but I played through the entire route of Sonic Adventure DX. Like I just replayed Sonic Adventure DX on
I
Steam.
still need to sit down and play that from start to finish. I have that sitting in my GameCube collection, and I have
Yeah.
not
Well,
played it, but I
here's
hadn't
the
finished it.
here's the cool thing about the PC version. There is a mod that fully converts all the models and the textures back to the Dreamcast version, but keeps the 60 FPS and widescreen.
Huh.
So you could basically play it kind of like the Mario 64 PC port, where it's like a widescreen 60 FPS version of the same low poly game, and it's really charming to look at, and it still plays really well. And that's basically all I've been playing. And I've started Princess Peach Showtime. That game is extremely charming. It looks very nice visually. It is easy, but like, come on. Of course, like, like it's an easy game. It's made by Goodfeel. They make Yoshi games and they make Kirby games. Of course, it's going to be easy. But what matters is that it's a fun, well-crafted experience, and it is very unique and inventive. Like it does a lot of cool things with the theater aesthetic.
Now, I
I
will
would
say
recommend.
this, Steven, at least when I was looking at that, because I did, look at the demo and stuff like that, and everything I was looking at from that demo, it didn't give me a good impression on the game. For what I've been hearing from some other people, some people said that, yeah, that demo didn't take the best elements from it, kind of left you kind of question, is this really it? Like, there ain't much more to it. Obviously, we know Princess Peach had all these different, costumes and stuff between cowboy, mermaid, etc. Though, but I don't know. I just didn't get a really good vibe from at least from the little demo that they managed to put out though. But
Yeah.
You feel like your money was worth it? Because I know, like, I think from
Yeah,
what I heard, beating this game is like, what, 12 hours or something like that?
but like, come on, Zard, who actually cares about game length anymore? Like,
No, no, I just
yeah,
threw it out there. I
yeah.
not that I we knew this was gonna be
I
like a
think
smaller game. It wasn't gonna be nothing big or something like that.
I think just beating the game is about 7 hours, and
Oh,
100% is
7. I
probably
said
closer to
12.
12.
Gosh dang.
Well, no, you 100% is probably closer to 12.
Yeah,
But no,
okay.
the thing, yeah, but like the post game, from what I've heard, I've not beaten the game. I'm only on floor two, like world two. What I've heard is that you can go, there's replayability. You can go back into each of the levels for the post game, and there's new stuff to find.
Okay.
So there's, there are collectibles in each level. Honestly, Zard, this is gonna be a weird comparison. It controls and plays very similar to what modern Paper Mario games feel like the
Ah.
overworld, like the overworld. You
Oh.
know how like in the overworld of like Paper Mario, the Origami King, you're like running around finding secrets, opening up, it's like a puzzle platformer almost, or like an
Oh,
action
I
adventure.
get I
Like
get what you're saying. Yeah.
like the way that you traverse the overworld in that game is how Princess Peach Showtime feels. Except Princess Peach Showtime is more of a 2.5D, where it's not like you don't explore these vast, like you don't explore these amazing spectacle vistas. You have these small, like, paper, these small plays that open up into these grand, like, rooms eventually, and like the transformations are the real interesting parts. It's just a very the game puts a smile on my face more than anything. It's a very appealing game. It just is a nice, charming experience. It's a nice and cozy game. Do not go into it looking for a challenge. Go into it looking for a nice game you could chill with. That's what I'd say.
Okay, okay.
But I,
I
I I
just
think it's
know
fun.
from Yeah, I just know for me personally, it's just not catering to me, but I know this is definitely towards a very unique audience. So for those, especially for like younger kids, especially if you had to be like a young girl or something like that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
we know who this game is technically catering
yeah.
towards. So for
But
those people, I'm happy they got, something though, but it's just not for
I
me.
and yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'd say if it like goes on a good sale one day, pick it up. Definitely. Just like
Is
it's a
this gonna
fun
be
game.
basically the equivalence of Super Princess Peach?
No, this game is so much better than Super Princess Peach. Screw that. Super
I don't know
Princess Peach
why, but
is a
I watched the what was it? It was a video comparison from Good Vibes Gaming. Like, yeah, I think Brandon was the one that was talking about it though. But he kind of did like a little mini review up on it. And I was like a dog. I was like, if someone were to bring up two games, Super Princess Peach and Showtime say, "Hey, you have to play one of these games." I might actually be inclined to play Super Princess Peach, probably because it's just a platformer. And
well,
from some of the elements I heard, there's like some things are kind of pulled
well,
from what is it, Yoshi's Island, and a little bit from Mario World. So that kind of speaks to me a little bit more than versus
no,
what you got with Showtime. But
Prin-
maybe a little hot take,
Princess.
whatever.
Okay, well, Princess Peach Showtime is a platformer. It's just also got action elements in it. It
Yeah, but
the
uh,
the closest thing, it really
not a
does feel
traditional
like.
platformer, if that
Well,
makes
yes, yeah.
sense.
It's the only thing I could describe it as is like a weird, like, hybrid of a Mario game and a Kirby game. It's got the
Mm,
difficulty and the pacing of a Kirby game, which means it's easy and it's more of a, the levels are longer but like more focused in their themes. Like, longer levels, but they have a theme throughout the entire thing and a nice transformation, like a Kirby game.
mm,
And then it's also like the weird mix of like a Mario game with all of the aesthetics and the music and the the art style seeping its way into every single corner of the game. And it is a very nice looking game. You know, don't let I'll reiterate it again. Very nice looking game, very charming experience. I had a very nice first 2 hours with it. What can I say? I'm excited to play more probably tomorrow. And people that say it's a game for little girls, you people are pussies. This is a it's, it's not a man's game or anything. Definitely not. But it's a fun game. It's a, like
Hey, it
it's
might be a
or
true man's game. I'm just
like
saying,
like
but
I don't know. People say this like, oh, it's for girls, this and that. But like, I don't know. Does that matter nowadays? Like, yeah,
well, if the
it's
game's woke, then
I don't
maybe.
know. Yeah, but it's Princess Peach. There's no woke message. This is it's a game about a girl, and she's on an adventure, to save this theater, and that's it. They don't go way too deep into it. Peach hardly even talks. There's voice lines here and there, new voice lines, which really caught me off guard because there's like the old voice lines from the older games, and then these new voice lines which sound completely different, but it's from the same voice actor.
Uh, I will
They've been
say
using.
this.
Sorry.
Oh, I will say this. I since you mentioned all the comparisons and stuff between this and Kirby games and stuff, I do remember when in Forgotten Land, like you had these power ups and stuff that you can actually upgrade over time as you got deeper within the
Yes.
story and stuff. And I heard from somebody saying, "Hey, that might have been a good idea to incorporate within Princess Peach Showtime. Like if you had some kind of element of that with these power ups that Peach has throughout her adventures throughout this whole entire game, which I think they could elaborate on that a little
Oh,
further on, like within the sequel game if they happen to choose it though. But one crazy thing that somebody mentioned was like, imagine if you had what was it, the cowgirl Pete, and then she just whips out a pistol out her pocket. I heard that from somebody. I was like, wait, what the heck? Now that would be a woke Peach game. I was like, they do something like that. I was like, sign me up. But then again,
yeah.
Kirby has a gun in his series, so I mean, anything's
Yeah.
possible.
I'm pretty sure Forgotten Land, they had to raise the rating just because of that, I heard.
Really?
Something weird with like the
Oh,
ranger's gun like caused some kind of rating thing to go up. But I was just gonna say real quick about Princess Peach Showtime. I'll explain it in the simplest way possible, Zard. So that you don't upgrade the power-ups, but they do something kind of unique. Think of it like this. You know how a play usually has three acts?
yeah.
Every single transformation has three levels allocated to it. So you have your Act 1, your Act 2, and your Act 3 of a play. So in World 1, Sword Fighter Peach had Act 1, and then when I reached World 2, one of the levels, there was three new transformations, but then there was a returning Sword Fighter Peach level for Act 2. So like they kind of spread out the transformations throughout the floors, some new, some old, for each floor. But think
Okay.
about it like, it's like a ongoing theme. For example, Act 1, like World 1, there's a Sword Fighter Peach level where like these thorns are coming out of the ground and like the thorns are coming out of the ground and like invading like this village you're in, and then you make your way to the castle to protect the king. And then in Act 2, it's like a showdown in the castle. So it's like a bit of an ongoing story through the levels.
All right.
You understand what I mean, right? Like it
Yeah,
does like
I get the
these
basic concept.
these three levels that are grouped together, but like spread throughout the game. So it's like you're going back to these plays and finishing them. It's fun. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't say like especially for you, someone who said that you're not really like vibing with it. Probably don't pay $60 for this. Wait for a nice like $30 sale. But
Shoot,
it's a
for me to
fun
pick
game.
this game up, it had to be like $20. So that's like
I guess
I
yeah.
that's not
This
really ever gonna happen unless it's like,
yeah.
clearance or
Uh,
something.
this is one of those hidden gems. Is what I'll say. And
Yeah.
I'll say this is much better than something like your Detective Pikachu Returns. Like this is an actual high quality experience, even if it is a slow burner. While
Yeah.
that game for $50, like no, that game deserves to be like fucking $10 from what I've
Mhm.
seen.
Yeah.
No, but like there's so much worse you could do with $60, and I'm glad that they even gave another game to Peach. Like I'm glad that Super Princess Peach wasn't her only game. Cause like look at Luigi's Mansion. If you make a fun gameplay style and a good game, people will like it. Luigi's Mansion probably didn't succeed only because it was Luigi. It succeeded because it was a fun game and a unique take on like the Mario franchise.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of curious to see, if Princess Peach happens to blossom into its own series, kind of like how Luigi's Mansion did. So, we'll have to kind of wait
We'll
and see what
see.
these numbers do. But I
I
still
I
think it's gonna
think
do good enough for Nintendo to
well
get
here's the
what they
thing.
want
Like I
out of
said,
it.
it's obviously not marketing towards your general audience or towards our audience. I think it's marketing towards a much younger audience. I think this game is going to sell much better than people think it is. It is a recognizable character, and think about this, especially after the movie. Yes, this game's going to sell well.
Yeah, that is true.
With Peach having more of a prominent role in the movie, especially, it will sell much better than it would have without the movie. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And also, Luigi's Mansion 3, you might forget this. Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm pretty sure is still like over I think 13 million copies, which is
Something
insane.
over 10 million by a couple
It
of
is
reviews.
insane. It doesn't no one talks about it, and it's sold like so much better than half of the other first parties on Switch. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that game is great. That
It's
game's
just
great
because
by the
it's
way.
not
But
in the
yeah.
top 10, but it's definitely on the top of the million sellers that's like right
Yeah,
below the cusp of the what is the current number 10
like the
spot.
Pokemon games. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like it's very surprising. I don't know how it got that high. That game and Ring Fit Adventure have extremely high sales, and I don't know how, but it kind of shows that I think as long as you have a good game, people will buy it.
Yeah. So yeah, so you managed to play some pretty good games. At least for me, I've been going through and playing a little bit more Honkai Star Rail because they do have another update that's coming out for the 2.1 where they're going to introduce like another character called Archeron, which I was like, oh shoot, this woman can actually like, insta kill people out in the open plain without even going into the battle itself. So I looked at that character and was like, oh shoot, I definitely have to get my hands up on her. So I've been trying to save up my Stellar Jade because actually this is going to be the 1 year anniversary coming up in the month of April. And they're giving us like 20 free pools that they're going to stagger over like a period of a week. And then they're going to turn around on the day of the anniversary, give us like 10 more free pools worth of Stellar Jade. So, you know what? Hoyoverse is pretty generous, at least with Honkai Star Rail. Can't say the same thing about Genshin, but I'll leave it at that. So, yeah, I've been playing quite a bit of that, just a good chunk of time. It's been like almost an hour every day in the lead up to this new update and stuff. So, I've been playing that. I was playing Mario versus Donkey Kong. I finally managed to beat the main story of it. And now it's to the point where it's like, oh, here are all these bonus extra levels, which I think from the trend I'm catching, Steven, basically they're just doing, World 1 through 8 all over again, but they're calling it and slapping it with a plus on the end. Is that right?
But for which games? I'm sorry.
For Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Yes, so it's revamped versions of all of the worlds. They are new levels.
Yeah, so it's just basically like instead of you doing get the key first and then getting the mini Mario second. So it's basically like two levels in one, essentially. Instead of that, which you got in the original World 1 and the World 1 Plus, it's like, hey, the mini Mario has the key attached to it, and you have to guide him to the goal without him dying some kind of way. You can't die and he
Yeah,
can't die. So I like that's a nice, interesting twist upon I guess the original gameplay of the first original 8 worlds, but also it's nice because, once you get to the key to the door, you're done. You don't have to do one more thing beyond it. So I kinda like that. So it kinda speeds so basically it's like half as amount of content within these world pluses compared to the original worlds. But that new twist in the gameplay mechanic about having the key attached to the mini Mario itself, I think it's interesting enough. So I do like that. Then you have like those those challenging, more difficult levels, which oh gosh, I did the very first one. It took me about 8, 9 minutes to actually figure out what the heck was going on. I feel like I kind of semi broke the level. Like I think I did it in a way that was not intended for me to get all the presents and get to the end of the goal. But like, man, those difficult ones, they get you scratching your head a little bit. I ain't gonna lie though. But
well, yeah.
Steven, you said you beat every single level that's offered in that game, period.
I have 100% of the game. Yes, I
Okay.
just only thing I have not done is time attack in every single level, which like I'll get to that when I get to that.
Okay, yeah. I'll probably do a few more levels here and there. Like I won't have this game at the forefront. Like for all sakes and purposes, for me personally, I beat this game. But every now and then, if I want to change a pace, like if I just want to play a little puzzle game, because you can always come back to puzzle games like Tetris and stuff like that, though. So I can always fire up this game and know I have some levels sitting in the queue ready to go. So that's just how I'm going to treat this game moving
Yeah,
forward,
no,
though. But at
it
least with the
is.
baseline story, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it is a perfect pick up and play game, and it also looks very nice, and but I really like how they remade everything from the ground up. I think they did a great job with it. But yeah, the main part about that game is that it is it was originally a Game Boy Advance game. Yeah, but like I'm glad they kept all of the charm of just being able to pick it up, play a level, put it back down. Especially since you can put the thing in sleep mode, you know, it's perfect for just going out and about playing this game.
Yeah.
I
And I
could
think
totally imagine myself playing this, like, on a nice long car trip just for a
oh,
couple
yeah, I
hours.
actually did play it a little bit because I did have to go up to Jersey to help my brother move some stuff closer to home.
Yeah,
So I actually was playing this game on the road though. So yeah, it was actually kind of convenient for that. I think outside of that, it's been mostly just those 2 games. On the PlayStation side of things, I did finish up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which that was
how
a
was
great
that?
and phenomenal experience. I loved every moment of it.
That's
I
what
guess
I've heard, yeah.
oh, okay, based upon the way how you're talking, I thought for some reason I mentioned this a couple no, I couldn't mention this a couple weeks ago. I
You
didn't
talked
beat it
about
then. Yeah,
you talked that you were starting it, or like it was coming.
not
Yeah, you were starting it.
gonna be starting. Oh no, well, that's what was it the previous 2 episodes? They were back to back, so that's what's throwing me off. But yeah, that it was like a couple episodes ago. I think I was talking about starting it, but no, I finally finished that game. So that game is freaking phenomenal. Put about 53 hours into it from start to finish. So usually, beating the story is only 40 hours, but there was enough extra stuff in there between either doing the world intel stuff or beating summons and stuff or doing side quests, which I did a good chunk. A lot more side quests in this game than I probably have done in any other game, albeit with the exception of maybe what was it, Xenoblade 2, Torn in the Golden Country, because they force you to do the side quests in that one though. I'm not a big fan of side quests though, but the way how they treated them within Seven Rebirth I actually really enjoyed it. Like the character interactions you managed to get, because each one that you managed to do, it's like Cloud, and then you might have one of your other companions with you that managed to that kind of went hand in hand with you in terms of you going through and playing through that side quest though. So yeah, there's a lot of things I want to say about the freaking story though, but I know I can't for the sake of spoilers though. But whole shoot, if you manage to get to the end of that game, oh that final boss scene though, oh my gosh, that one character. That's all I say. That's all I say. But man, that was a great game. I'm looking forward to part 3 at this point though, and I just gotta find some people to talk about that game because oh my gosh, that ending was great. And I think outside of that, that's basically all I've been playing for the most part. I feel like I thought I was missing something, but no, that's that's basically been about it outside of just randomly firing up, Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64. Usually with me and the family usually will play it like once a week, usually on Sunday afternoons or something like that. But albeit outside of that, that's all I've been up to. But I
If we're
think that's
talking about or if we're talking about our retro game fix, I've been playing Pokemon Platinum
oh yeah,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
break.
You did say that.
So yeah, I have been playing it on my breaks at work. I am currently going to Pastoria City. I just left Veilstone, so I beat the fourth gym.
Oh, wait, since you're saying you're playing platinum, technically in that game, I think it's gym leader 3, 4, and 5. You can do them in any order you want. So you
I think
say
so. Yeah.
yeah, that's how it is. It's like the water gym, the ghost gym. Oh,
Because
what was the type of the other
the
one?
the
Hold
only
on.
places they block off are Mount Coronet because you need strength, and then there's a bunch of Psyduck blocking the other path.
Yeah, the side up block the path to kind of go up in that one town. And then obviously you can't go all the way to the far right where you get to the 8 gym leader, that's the electrical one. You can't go that way. They got that blocked
Yeah.
off too.
But yeah, Veilstone I went to. I like everything with Looker is amazing. Looker is one of my favorite side characters in Pokemon.
Wait, so have you ever played Platinum before or no?
I played Pearl when I was a kid,
Oh, okay, so you had played a
and
Gen
that's it.
4 game. Okay, okay.
Yeah, but I didn't play much of it. I didn't beat it. Black,
Oh, okay.
White Two was the first game I ever beat because I was old enough to actually fucking understand what I was doing.
So you have to go back and play your Gen 3 and your Gen 4, what you're
But
doing now.
I beat Emerald, and I have a DS Lite, so once I beat Platinum, I can transfer over. I know for a fact you need to like beat Platinum. You need to finish
You have to,
Platinum to be able to
yeah,
transfer.
beat the Elite Four member and stuff, or yeah, the Elite Four, and then head
There's a
back down
post
into
game.
the power part. Which the only annoying thing with Platinum is when you're trying to transfer your Pokemon up, you can only do 6 Pokemon at a time. You can cheat the system a little bit and go into DS settings on your clock and advance it at 24 hours. And then you can, do it all over again. So you can technically do that in comparison to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where it's like, oh, they'll let you do it unrestricted, which I was like, gosh dang it.
So wait, can you transfer from Emerald into Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or do
Yeah,
you have to go through Platinum first?
no. Heart
So
Gold,
I
Soul
can,
Silver, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum are all
but
on the same
so I can.
plane where you can transfer Gen 3 to Gen 4.
Okay, so yeah, so if we're talking about Gen 3 to Gen 4, I should just do it all through Heart Gold because I own Heart Gold.
Yeah, that'll be the fastest way of doing it
Because
without
I know
going
you can
into the
only
clock and
six.
doing it. Yeah.
Was it like six at a time, and you gotta play a little fucking mini game to catch them, right?
Yeah. I mean, you still have to play the mini game to catch it, but it was only 6 at a time in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and that's it for 24 hours. And Heart Gold and
Yeah.
Soul Silver, as soon as you were done catching the 6, they'll let you do another one.
Okay, then yeah. I think the mini game's cool. I just think it's a little tedious, especially
It
if you're
is. It
transferring
is a
like
little
literally everything.
tedious.
If you're transferring literally everything in your decks, it is tedious.
I mean, thankfully they streamline it nowadays. Now it's just dumping them in the server, and that's just it. But yeah,
Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do, just because I don't kind of want to keep, I don't want to donate my whole team. I think what I will do is that I'll transfer one special Pokemon plus the legendaries up through the gens, and that's it. Like I'll have a single Pokemon that I care about from Gen 3 transferred all the way up into home.
okay, okay.
Because I know there are people, there's a way to get like a Pokemon with like every single ribbon and like a word on it, but I don't know how you do that.
Oh,
Like,
it's
entering it,
basically
I think.
beating Elite Four in every single generation as you're transferring them up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do something. I want to do something like that with one of my teammates.
All right, Steven. Well, I think we're about to reach that point in the show. This might be the longest podcast episode that I might have had in recent memory because we're tracking on at least almost a little over 2.5 hours now. So
Yeah.
I have to pull the plug on this one. We're going
I'm
to start
sorry.
breaking things down.
I had the shit on the PS5 Pro. I'm sorry. It just had to happen.
Gosh dang. All right, but yeah, that's basically gonna do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 75. 3/4 of the way to 100. We made this one a long, beefy one for all y'all out there, though. But yeah, I think that's gonna basically do it, though. So, Steven, let the fine people know where they can find you at.
You can find me. Where can you find me? I'm thinking. You can find me on Twitter at Steven Jr. 1231. And that's about it.
Dang, it took all of that for you to say that. You say this thing every week, but it took you all of that.
Yeah, no, my mind is loading. Sorry.
I don't know. Well, it is like 12:30 in the morning your time now. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna basically do it for this episode 75. So if you really like this episode, make sure you're gonna hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell. That way you never miss any time I happen to be going here live with the podcast or talking about any other future videos I happen to be dropping here on the channel though. Um, I would say for all of the people out there that are listening to this via the audio version or whatever podcast platform of choice you're on, you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, even iHeartRadio. Yes, you can listen to me in the car. Did I say Amazon Music? I might have said that though. And technically, this is like the last time you'll be able to hear me on Google Podcasts because officially by the time we drop our episode 76 in a couple of weeks, Google Podcasts will be no more. So now everything's transitioning over to YouTube Music. So if you happen to be a advocate listener on Google Podcasts, you can switch it on over to YouTube Music. It's a pretty good layout. You can actually see the video version and switch back and forth between the audio version and your screen off, which that's the number one thing I like when listening to other different podcasts out there. You're able to do it with this one though. So yeah, so honestly, a lot of good stuff out there. You can listen to me on any one of those platforms of choice. And wherever you happen to be listening to us at, make sure to leave a review on there. Just let people know we're just a couple of dudes out here that just love talking about gaming related news and stuff. But that's going to do it for episode 75. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode, that being my ZardCast episode 76, which will happen in a couple of weeks from now, if all goes according to plan, at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Then, yeah, I'll see y'all later.